We've made some mistakes, Miss Kyle.
Girls gotta eat.
And you have an appetite. Why would you run? You can't hide from us with a record like this.
Maybe it's not you I'm running from.
Who then? Bane? What do you know about him?
That you should be as afraid of him as I am.
We can offer you protection. Okay. When I spotted you, I was looking for a friend of mine, Bruce Wayne. Did they kill him?
I'm not sure.
Do you expect me to talk?
And welcome to episode 83 of Do You Expect Us to Talk? I'm your host Becca, and as always, joined by inimitable Dave and Chris. How are you doing?
Did you say lamentable then?
Inimitable.
Oh, right. Okay. I heard lamentable, but many a true word spoken in jest.
You could never be lamentable.
I could be. People have lamented me for years.
I don't even know what that means, so I'm just going to say yeah.
No, don't say that, Chris. Just sort of nod sagely and make an approving noise while I'm reading intelligent. Yeah, not like you've just tasted something nice. That's just... They'll be on training, folks.
You could be like Freddie Gray. Anyway, guys, I am very sad right now. Can you guess why?
Because
your dog's died.
You're about a third of the way through your 30s and you're thinking, shit, this is going nowhere.
What the hell am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm sad for a whole nother reason.
That's
Right.
why I'm sad, to be honest, Dave, so...
You become Batman next week.
Don't tell everybody, it's a secret.
Sorry.
What, that golden age of 35, where every person becomes Batman at 35?
Yeah, there's a 100 million or so every year.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I actually have got a bit of a bad back at the moment, so...
Oh dear.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe you need the
So it's
exoskeleton.
prophecy, really.
Yeah, get yourself a touch of gout and you're on the verge of being a top athlete and worldwide hero.
I was Batwoman in a couple of years, so I get to turn into Batwoman.
No, Batman.
Oh.
No, you turn into Batman.
Oh dear.
Still, at least you'll have something to play with.
He means like utility belt.
Yeah. What do you think, man?
What did you think you meant?
So, why are you sad, Becca?
Because we are coming to the end of our Batman retrospective review series.
It is always sad to leave a series of such patchy and variable quality behind.
I suppose we'll come back to it, obviously, when we come to the DC Expanded universe.
We will, but it
joy.
won't be part of this series. Yeah, I can't
Deep
wait.
joy.
Great.
I shall remind myself not to fall asleep.
Who knows, just sleep might be good. You never know.
Yeah.
Wishful thinking.
This is it.
Well, they've refilmed it twice. They've had a couple of goes.
Yeah.
Still pretty boring.
It does look a bit CG spectacular, doesn't it? It looks a little bit...
They all at the end of the films look sort of dark and lots of flames and stuff, doesn't it? They're all
Yeah.
they all look like that at the end.
Like,
Still some daytime scenes, geez, have a bit of levity and...
Yeah.
Well, I can't really sort of remember any actual set that looked like it wasn't all like green screen. All set pieces look like it's all just like computer generated sort of kind of stuff with the actors just sitting on sort of green boxes and then they just superimpose everything.
Yeah. Well, Wonder Woman looked at a laptop at one point. I believe that was there.
Yeah. There was a bit in a bank or museum or somewhere where baddies tried to take people hostage, and Wonder Woman came in and beat them all up.
All right, okay. Chris has
So-
got confused with Spider-Man there, but we'll go with it.
No, that was in the new trailer. Did you not see it? I don't know.
Oh, the new trailer. Sorry, yeah. No, we were talking. I thought I was thinking Batman versus Superman there, actually. But yeah.
Yeah.
So-
that's how good they are. They all mesh into one. It's like, yeah, there's...
We've had so much of a glut to these superhero movies in the last few years. I think they're all going to blur into one, so it'll be like Super Spider, Bat, Iron.
I'm pretty happy to do the DC universe when it comes to it. It's going to be a while. We're going to let them build up a few.
Obviously, I mentioned a load of Marvel heroes there. I've just meshed them all into one, but never mind.
Marvel sooner. We got to get on that train before it really rides out of town.
Yes.
We'll get to that. I think probably around the turn of the year. I'd have thought. But yeah, this is the end of the sort of singular Batman series.
Which means... Shed a tear. And Dave, you can tell us why you think this is the end of an era with Nolan.
I didn't say it was the end of an era. I
Okay,
said it
then.
was the start of his decline.
Okay.
Because basically, this is the first of 3 films he's made in this decade, if you take Inception out of it. And I've not really liked any of them.
So you weren't a fan of Dunkirk?
No, I didn't like it very much at all. I certainly didn't think it was terrible by any means. I'm not going to sit and slaughter it, but
Still not seen it.
I couldn't get interested in any of the characters. It felt very, very small scale. I mean, for a beach that had 300,000 or 400,000 people on it, it looked like about 200 people just on a small stretch of beach. I thought the playing with times was purely a gimmick in this film. I really did. I don't think it was necessary at all. And I just left out. I just left having not engaged with it at all and not empathised with anyone whatsoever.
I've heard also that it's not that historically accurate either.
Well, yeah, there were horses on the beach and things like that. You see none of that. But it really wasn't about the accuracy for me. It was just about it finished, and I thought, what was the fucking point of that? I really couldn't get into it, and I've gone with some of the more outlandish stuff that he's done. I mean, Inception just took me, no problem at all. The Prestige. I mean, I didn't think Interstellar was that great, but I at least sort of cared about the characters a bit. And given that I thought this was by far, spoiler alert, guys, the weakest of his Batman trilogy, and that hasn't changed tonight. It's been a while since Nolan's done a film I really, really loved.
Well, he's only sort of done 2 since Rise, hasn't he? So,
But I'm including Rises in that. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, he's sort of 0 for 3 in the last 3. Now, they're not 3 abominations by any means. They're 3 films that all have much to recommend them. And I'll say some nice things tonight. I'm still going to be enthusiastic next time a Christopher Nolan film is on its way. But it is starting to concern me now, because there was a run where everything he did was outstanding, and I've not really liked anything for a while.
it's more frustration, isn't it? Because it's just everything else is great in terms of like the weight and how it looks and how it's actually well directed and acted and all the rest of it. It's just certain narrative or stylistic choices that you just go, you're nearly there. You're nearly there. It's like, I mean, I had the same issue with Dunkirk with the time frame. I was like, I kind of spent most of the film kind of going a bit confused about, oh wow, is that another ship? Okay. Oh no, I've seen that before. And yeah, I just didn't think there was a need for it particularly. I mean, I would have thought maybe if you kind of just had it maybe in a 3-act structure with 3 different stories, and then we would have through them would have seen the overlaps of each story. Would have gone, oh, okay, I can kind of see where you're going with that. Maybe that would have worked. I don't know. I mean, I've only seen it once, so maybe like I might see it again and go okay, that works a lot better. But
and I've only seen Interstellar once or twice, so I mean, I've really got to. I'm quite happy to revisit them, and I hope I've proved to everyone who listens to this over the last couple of years that I do watch things with fresh eyes. I do actually reappraise sometimes, and when I next watch these 3 films, and I include The Dark Knight Rises in that, that they've got like a clean slate again. It's one of the things I find most frustrating about The Dark Knight Rises, but we'll get to that. Tell us about the film, Becca.
tonight we are reviewing The Dark Knight Rises, funnily enough.
Spoiler
Starring,
alert.
spoiler alert! Starring, as always, Christian Bale, Tom Hardy, Anne Hathaway, Marion Cotillard, Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, Gary Oldman, Ben Mendelsohn, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. With a score by Hans Zimmer, a script by Jonathan Nolan and Christopher Nolan, and directed by Christopher Nolan, and released in 2012.
I love your terminology there, Becca, like starring, as always, if every film we review stars Christian Bale.
Actually, I've missed out one key person who I have a fun fact about, a fun back fact at the end of the show.
Cillian Murphy.
That's the one. And I probably mispronounced Marion Cotillard as well, but... Oh well.
That's about right. Smell for my ears,
I
anyway.
thought that's about right.
Je ne comprends pas.
But yeah, she's in every film ever made. All of this cast are.
As always.
It's like if you've seen Inception, it's kind of everybody bar Leo DiCaprio, and a few other people as well. But it's mainly the same sort of people, isn't it? Who's
Becca, that doesn't work. Everyone bar Leonardo.
Everyone bar a few people.
Christian Bale was in Inception.
Yeah, Christian Bale.
What did you dream about? Rachel!
Morgan Freeman wasn't in Inception, I don't think.
No, it's the same sort of people, isn't it? It's the same kind of type of people that you
Yeah,
get.
he can. I mean,
he works with kind of on a regular basis.
he does like Cillian Murphy. He likes Michael Caine.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong
It's
at all.
Michael Caine as his sort of good luck charm. I've heard him say that before.
Yeah, definitely.
Michael Caine is in Dunkirk.
And that's it. Well, he is that kind of director who does attract that kind of cast, I think.
I see my bombshell there really
Very high caliber.
Completely ignored straight away.
Oh, sorry. No, I mean obviously he's very, that very kind of high caliber type of cast. So,
Yeah, I mean Harry Styles. I don't,
well, apart from Harry Styles,
To be fair, he's fine.
he makes one film and there's like, oh, retire from acting. So, really? Sod off, Go and release another album. Just go and do what you're good at.
Why do you want him to release another album, Becca? You're a big fan.
Well, no, it's just that if you're gonna, no, it just annoys me.
You're not a One Directioner, are you?
No, I'm not. Sadly, no.
Okay.
She swings both ways.
No, firmly on the straight and narrow, unfortunately.
Strictly by the side up, mate.
I don't quite know what that.
I think I've stolen that from Ace Rimmer.
I think that's an Ace Rimmer reference, isn't it? I was like, yeah.
That's when, it is. It's when in the alternate universe, Robert Llewellyn's character offers to meet him in his quarters covered in terra musculata.
Yeah, that's it. He's like,
he said, happily been married for 35 years, but a guy like you turns a man's head. Well, I'm strictly by the side up.
This is why we have to do a Red Commentary podcast.
We've got a laser focus on tonight's film. In fact, I think this is a microcosm of the problems with the film, to be honest with you. A little bit unfocused this so far, isn't it?
No, that's it.
I'm actually curious to know what Dave's because before when we did a podcast, he did mention the fact that there was one piece of a point in the film where he could tell Christopher Nolan really didn't care or give a shit about what he was doing. I'm kind of curious to know what he was referring to, so I'm actually looking forward to this.
I'm actually I'm happy to answer that, Chris, just very, very quickly. There's two bits in the film where I thought, that's really fucking lazy. I think there's probably a bit more to it than that as I went through it, but there's certainly two scenes that always spring out. The one I was referring to when we talked on that podcast was an establishing shot of Gotham. We had an establishing shot in Batman Begins, and it was a city none of us have ever seen before because it was collated in a computer from a collage of different real-world places. And for all you say, I mean, I've read a lot of bullshit about Dunkirk today, funnily enough, talking about, well, how refreshing it was to have no CG in. I'm thinking, well, if CG had given it a bit of scale, it's not some evil tool. Half of the time, you don't even know it's there. In this film, there was an establishing shot of Gotham, and it was just New York. I'd have been okay if they disguised it even a bit, but it was literally just New York, and you had the new World Trade Center building in that shot before it was completely built, when it was like a building site. And I just thought they couldn't even fucking disguise that at all. How lazy is this? And the second shot was when Batman comes back into action and he says, "You're in for a show tonight." And this guy, the bike stops and a guy jumps off it. And as the guy on the bike turns to shoot him, Batman appears out of nowhere and sweeps him off his bike, which is a great shot. But the very next shot, Batman is leaning the other way and there's no one anywhere near him. And I just think, like, this is just lazy. I mean, the director he is most commonly compared to is Stanley Kubrick. Well, Stanley Kubrick didn't, like or hate him, didn't let a frame of film out that he hadn't really thought about, to a fault, because he would do like 98 takes of things and stuff. I mean, I heard of him doing something like that in terms of number of takes of Tom Cruise walking through a door. I'm thinking, how many different takes are there of Tom Cruise walking through a door? The bit where Alex gets spat in the face in Clockwork Orange, 98 takes. So it can be to a fault, but then I look at things in Nolan's films where I go, that's a bit lazy, and that's a really obvious error. And I think, well, he's nowhere near as meticulous.
No, I think you can tell in this one his heart wasn't as in it as much as the others. But I don't know. I think Rises is probably could arguably be the more fascinating one to analyse, because while there is that argument of like, well, is this kind of like the one where he's just had to do it out of contractual obligation, or was it, or was this like something like? Was there something a lot more deeper, a bit more meaningful that like general cinema goers just didn't sort of get, or maybe it's a slightly flawed masterpiece to an extent? We don't know. You know, it's one of those ones which are kind of like very questionable, because one thing it is, it's out of the Nolan films and quite possibly out of the Batman films, it's probably the least Batman-y film there is.
Yeah, it's probably more a genre film rather than a Batman film, for example. Like sort of action thriller that happens to have Batman in it. Again, like I said with some of the previous films.
It's one of the weird things. It's like, well, it's not really a Batman film, but what is it? It's you know, it's kind of a blockbuster, but it's not a conventional blockbuster. It's a really weird animal. It's really difficult to really place when you actually think about it. I mean, it's more akin to like sort of Nolan maybe doing like Interstellar in that kind of very ideas.
You can't sort of pigeonhole it, really, can you? You can't place it. It's not this or this.
It's really weird, and I get why possibly Bat fans. Sorry to label you that, but but like fans of Batman would watch this and go like, well, that's fucking not Batman in any sense of the word at all. But this is Nolan ending his trilogy how he envisions it, so it's kind of not really. I mean, it's based on the comics, but it's not. It doesn't really have any allegiance to it at all. I mean, Bane's nothing like he is in the comics, nothing like him at all. Everything's kind of very loose. I mean, the whole idea of like Alfred would never leave, Batman would never quit, blah blah blah. Well, that's true, but this is a director with a vision ending the story how he sees fit. So I don't actually have a problem with it. I mean, there's tons about the film which I can probably say, yeah, that doesn't work. You needed to kind of like tie up the plot a little bit there. You know, you need to explain a little bit and you need to elaborate that. But we could go through the film and there'll be always something that I actually like about it. So I'm very conflicted by it. I mean, it kind of reminds me of it came out around the same time as Prometheus, which a lot of people hated Prometheus at the time. But,
oh dear.
But while I'm kind of like a begrudging fan of Prometheus in a way, because while I acknowledge, yes, it's heavily flawed in its script, it's a complete mess, and I would not blame anyone for disliking it at all. But I still get sucked in by the atmosphere and its ideas and how it looks and everything. So I kind of feel the same way about this. I kind of like feel like, okay, well, yes, this isn't like the idea. This wasn't the Dark Knight sequel that we wanted, but it's something else. And what that thing is, for better for worse, it is fascinating to an extent. So yeah, I'm not gonna heavily criticize it at all, but I get why people don't get on with it as much. But in the same extent, I get why people might sort of praise it. I think Robbie Collins listed it as his favourite, the Dark Knight trilogy. It's one of his favourite Nolans as well. So
I think it is important to get that out there at the very start. That I think I've crossed the divide now, and I watch it for what it is. So I think the faults I will pick in it are, I think, not influenced by this in the same way as maybe it once was. But there's no doubt it's not the Batman film I wanted at all. I mentioned last week about wanting, Hunt the Dark Knight. But even then, what this retroactively kind of infects the series to me a little bit. Because you watch Batman Begins and you think, well, actually, he's only active for about another 10 months after this. The Dark Knight is set about 10 months after Batman Begins. And as much as there are caveats about last confirmed sighting of the Batman and everything, I think you can take it pretty much as read that he went home that night and that was it, because he was badly injured. The police were on the lookout for him, and that was an end to it. And things got better, but it just doesn't make sense, because you're trying to... Nolan's put in about a passage of time seemingly for 2 or 3 reasons. Firstly, to get the John Blake character to adulthood, somebody that will have been affected by Batman as a child, or Bruce Wayne actually in his case. Partly so we can see the city getting better, so to speak. But the problem that then leaves you is Bane goes to finish Ra's al Ghul's work by, a cleansing fire on a city that's healed itself, which makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Batman is completely out of action for 8 years and was only ever active for about 10 months. And then you got Ra's al Ghul, the ghost of him, saying, you fought, these people, you fought these conditions in Gotham for years. No, he didn't. He fought them for a few months. He retired from being Batman while he was living in the penthouse of an apartment, and he's built a brand new 16th century mansion with a full Batcave under it that he will never use.
Or uses once.
Well, it raises...
Yeah, once, that's it.
But he didn't. Why'd he build it if he was retired? It ends up raising more questions than answers. I think the film's got an awful lot wrong with it. And I've got over the fact that it's the Batman film that's in front of me rather than the Batman film I wanted, so let's take it for what it is. But I actually still think it's a pretty poor film. I think it is actually... you're right, it's fascinating. There's a lot about it that's of interest. I'll have some good things to say about it, I think, as I go through. But this isn't any good. It's going to struggle because it's following such a great pair of films. What I think also hurts it is, stylistically, it looks a little bit like The Dark Knight. Batman's in the same uniform. It's still got that sort of cool colour palette. You see some of the same buildings at different times. Christian Bale obviously looks more like he did in the last one than the one before, as a function of both age and the fact that in both of them he's like the weight is more natural weight, whereas we know he bulked up a bit too much for Batman Begins. So it's impossible not to sit there and go, well, this is the Dark Knight sequel, and it's not as good. I think what also hurts it is the death of Heath Ledger. I find it very hard to believe that there wouldn't have been more of an allusion to the events of the last film than there was.
I think that was largely just out of respect, really, wasn't there? Because there was going to be some mention of the Joker, but then they sort of decided
I don't have a problem with it. No, they made the right decision.
Yeah.
They made the right decision, and I've got
I'd be inclined to agree there, just out of respect.
Yeah, I've got no concrete evidence the end result would have been either wildly different or wildly better. I just feel that in the normal run of things, we would have got more of a sequel to the last film. He took an extra year and went off to do Inception, which in my mind is like his last masterpiece, really. So there was a 4-year gap. I think also some of it was the sort of the paradigm in superhero films changing. That in 2008 it was all about the Dark Knight. In 2012, this is about 6 weeks after the release of the Avengers, and I just think that's where all the hype and money and everything else went. And although this film did well, suddenly The Dark Knight Rises felt like it had missed its window. It was like a year late.
Did this do better than The Dark Knight?
In absolute terms, adjusted for inflation, no, it didn't.
Okay.
And in America, no, it didn't. It was quite significantly behind The Dark Knight. But if you look at overall worldwide gross, it's a few tens of million ahead of it. But
yeah, I think it's the first one not to kind of best the previous film, and also the least award-winning as well.
What, more than Batman and Robin?
I think what Dark Knight had it was repeat viewings as well. I think a lot of fans watched it and then came back to watch it again. Whereas with this one, I think fans were up for it and they went in with high expectations. Probably were disappointed and didn't give it the repeat viewing that.
No, it's long run time because it's the longest of this Nolan trilogy as well. Long run time really counts against it as well. I mean, it's not to the point where it's kind of really bloated and doesn't know where it's going, which direction. But I remember going to see this at the cinema and be like, "Are we done yet?"
It's too
get on
long.
with it.
It
I mean, it still gripped me. I mean, performance is still great. It looks very stylish, but yeah, there are big, massive plot holes here. But again, it's fun to unpick everything that's going on. There's a lot to investigate in this film, and it's definitely worth your time. But yeah, it's just a bit for me like too long. Too many things don't make sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. It not only does it, I think, retroactively make the previous two films a bit worse, bizarrely. But I just think that, and it missed its time frame, and it's a bit sloppy, and it's Nolan going down the road of it being too long, and superhero films have changed because you've got the Marvel era sort of in full swing by now. And I'm still not convinced to this day, with the exception of the last few shots of the film. I think he probably finished it where he wanted to finish it, but I'm not even convinced this is the story Nolan wanted to tell. I think it's almost you start with the ending scene of the film and retrofit it from there. So you've got to have a passage of time so that John Blake can be older. You've got to have a passage of time so Batman can be a little bit over the hill. You have to have a passage of time so Gotham can change and heal and all the other things you want to do with it. But you also have to have a passage of time so he can age to the point that retirement becomes an option, a proper retirement and finding a life for himself. And that's more poignant with a bit of age than, if it was 3 weeks after Batman Begins or something. And it just raises so many problems. And I think Nolan wanted to finish this series when it finished it. I'm just not sure about the 2 3/4 hours that preceded it.
Yeah, for me, when I first watched it, it was kind of, it just didn't have the spark. It was going along in a way where I was like, yeah, okay, this is alright. But I remember like the excitement that I had while watching the Dark Knight on first viewing. It only sort of came alive in like the last like, or in the climax stuff, when Batman actually sort of comes back, I actually felt myself, I'm on the edge of my seat here again. I'm like really into this now. So it's always been a funny one for me. I do think though it does kind of like, if we sat down and spoke to Chris Nolan about like our issues with it, he would probably have like a perfectly good answer, but it did just not well established on screen. Like for example, with Gotham being healed in terms of crime, I think what the film was trying to talk about really was the idea there was still poverty. Yes, crime's gone down, but poor still suffering. While like there's a lot of billionaires being rich, which got like the.
It's a post-crash film. It is a post-economic crash.
Which is kind of how I have that kind of like French Revolution angle in it. It's like it's meant to be like a soft remake of Tale of Two Cities in a kind of way, which has that kind of theme throughout. So there are elements in there, and they are like meant to like establish the fact that I suppose in popular terms now, the 1% kind of thing, while Selina Kyle is meant to represent, but it doesn't represent that kind of angle as well as it should. It just kind of tells you a few things.
The point is, she wants like a form of almost anarchy herself, and the moment she gets it, she's utterly fucking terrified. You just think, well, that you've not thought that through, have you?
Well, but I get that from someone like thinking, oh, this is not kind of how I envisioned it, like kind of thing, kind of angle. So I don't mind that from an angle, but I do think there are other things like the thing about the Dent Act. Now, it's never actually established what exactly is the Dent Act is.
No, but it killed the city, whatever it was.
But it could be, it just meant like, okay, they'll like sort of deny criminals parole or whatever it was. But you could look at it from an angle of like of how we look back from it in terms of surveillance and things like that, and the whole idea of Catwoman. I mean, like, is another thing. Whole Catwoman idea of wanting to escape, but like of like she wanted a clean slate. Well, what was stopping her from just getting out of Gotham before? But if that idea was like in terms of like surveillance and the fact that you can't actually get away from this kind of thing, and that's why she needed this specific kind of MacGuffin that would clear her of that.
It's a very lazy MacGuffin.
It is, but then it's not established though, and then maybe that was the ideas that they had, but they just didn't really bother to embellish on any of it, and then maybe that was like in part of what the Dent Act was. So if they somehow tied in the Dent Act with like the reason why Selina Kyle can't actually get the freedom that she wants, that would sort of
nothing is tied up though that way. It is, and the score sounds almost identical to last week's. I know there's a theme, but it feels like a complete reuse with a little bit more fucking percussion in it.
It's funny because I was about to say that I actually think this is my favourite of the scores of the film.
All right, okay.
I like it. I've got it, but it is. This film's not doing anything It's not doing anything new. It just adds to this perception.
It's a little bit more lifting,
same, really, isn't it?
It's a little bit more lifting. I think the score is. It's a little bit more like.
At the very end as well. It had me.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. But I look at scenes in this. I pointed out the two mistakes already. They were me. They were me in that I spotted them. I'm sure other people did, but I'm sat here telling you things I saw. The third thing I'm going to point out, I think I saw it on like a fucking How It Should Have Ended or Honest Trailers type presentation. When he's fighting with Catwoman on the roof of that building, there's a guy who shakes around and falls over when there's no one anywhere near him, like he's been like knocked out. And I just think, again, where is the quality control of the director? You've got policemen underground for 3 months and they come out perfectly clean shaven and with nice neat haircuts. You've got Catwoman fighting in 5-inch heels, and this is a guy who's always like prided himself on bringing a touch of reality to the unreal.
I did think that when she like sort of just casually just flips out the window in Bruce in Mano in high heels,
broke a fucking ankle in reality, or got wedged in the turn.
I mean, like did you introduce the fact that when she's actually in the suit, she has got like kind of these kind of blade things which she uses to kind of break windows and things like that. So there is a kind of practicality to it.
It's useful, but again,
and I suppose in terms of like the offers being clean shaven and that, you could say, and again the film doesn't establish this because, again, yes, but we are given a scene where they are given like food and supplies. So who to say that they weren't given razors
in a bar and some Gillette.
Well, not a bar, but you know what I mean, like some razors
Tiger
or something.
Woods to advertise the Gillette.
But you know what I mean, like like who's to say
the film doesn't do it though,
yeah,
does it?
I know, yeah.
It's lazy. All of it is lazy plot devices. We need Bruce out of Gotham for a period of time, so we quickly contrive that. We need the police out of the picture for a while. We need to quickly contrive that. And I just see a lot of shots in this. I mean, even Matthew Modine's character. There's some really lazy editing with him, and we will get to that a bit later on.
At the end.
Yeah, it's just shit.
Yeah,
but
I'm just with that. But yeah.
But
Nolan's
anyway,
not an action guy, is he? It's like,
No, he's not. But he's normally a little bit more attention to detail than this. I mean, you think he put together a film like Memento, which would have taken such thinking through. And this is a guy who I am ever more convinced didn't want to be there. The one thing that I think is different from this film than truly bad films we've covered, except where there's a comedy value like Superman 4 or something, is that I always put this on with fresh hope. It's almost like a bizarre amnesia I've got with this film. Every time I put it on, and I frequently watch the other two before it, I think I'll like it this time. And I normally get a period of the way through it and think, all right, don't like the setup, wish it wasn't 8 years later, but I'm with this. And then it just slowly loses me. And by the end, I'm quite glad it's over, to be honest. With that, shall we discuss this film sequentially?
Let's do it. There's an icy theme as we open the film, isn't there?
Let's see if we can break the extra minute.
Let's kick some ice!
Okay, yeah, because each of the films, I think, is it like 10 minutes longer or 12 minutes longer? And like with our podcast, they've been like a minute longer.
Well, the only thing that just occurs to me, Becca, is you said ice to see you in every podcast we've ever done, except the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. And then we get to the other Batman film that's got an ice theme, and it still went over your head. So for the last time, Becca, how is
I
it to
still
see
see
us?
you.
There you go.
I thought because he doesn't say it, I'm not going to say it. Because it's McBain.
McBain.
It's McBain. Not Arnie.
Tom Hardy in a kilt.
Have you got some haggis? I'm rather hungry. Oh no.
I have no permission to eat haggis.
Alright.
I can't do it.
We've got an opening sequence where McBain flies in with his bagpipes.
And
So
Ruby Bartlett from Majesties goes, "It's true."
He's got breathing apparatus on his dick too.
Dear.
So,
That's something we didn't see in Jill
so
Schumacher
we've
movies.
got the FBI, or led by Aidan Queer's folk.
Not that, it's actually in various ways. But yeah, no, he needs to be in more stuff. I do really rate him as an actor, actually. He's got like a very small part in this, yet he's
Poor
easily
man.
a big name actor.
Well, yeah, he's called Littlefinger, so for a reason.
Well, exactly, this is it. He's, it's the most
that's the only way to
powerful
please a
series in
woman.
the last 10 years.
Give her a little finger.
So he's one of these actors that are very underrated, I think. So
Yeah. And what are they doing? They're transporting that doctor guy.
Yeah, well, basically, we don't really know this at the time, but obviously the henchman who transfer him is actually Bane's henchman.
Right.
So obviously they've kind of already seized the thing, so they're literally handing over just to kind of like make. I mean, I did think this, like, well, what's the point in destroying the plane then if you already got the doctor? Then why don't you just take him and bugger off? But I think they wanted to leave like, all right, well.
Damn you, McBain!
Well, I guess what the feeling was, they wanted to sort of fake his death. So I think that's...
Yeah, they did. That's exactly it.
So
they want to find him in the wreckage.
Yeah. No, one was in the wreckage, brother. I mean,
don't know how that works, actually, because they obviously take a blood sample from the guy and go, oh, look, it's that doctor guy, right?
No, they what it is, they got like a body of someone and must have like drained out the blood and then attached the thing and put the blood into the corpse from the doctor dude. So like when they find the body, find like, oh, that's a blood sample, that's the doctor guy. So I imagine that must be it. I don't know. I mean, I'm no.
All right, but it was just like, if you put a bit of blood, if our blood was compatible, would matter actually if you were dead, obviously. But like, we put some of my blood in you, you'd still have some of your own blood in there, wouldn't you?
I'm assuming. I mean,
if we did a blood test on you, it wouldn't be, oh, that's Dave Bond, would it?
No, but I'm assuming that body hasn't got its own blood in. But then he looks pretty good for someone who hasn't.
He's been drained. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm assuming. I'm no medical expert, which is probably worrying.
You're not a medical expert.
No.
You hope to be soon.
No, that'll be a doctor.
Becca has a blind spot on the difference because we often talk off air about Chris's studies, and he's like training to be a nurse, and she does often talk like she thinks he's going to be doing brain surgery.
I know that there's a little bit of medical knowledge, only a little bit involved, but yeah, obviously it's nurse rather than a doctor. I know.
Yeah, I never know what to make of this sequence. I think it's okay. I think I saw it on the front of whatever film it was. I got a feeling it was Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
It was, yeah.
I can't remember what last week's was because I don't remember. Do you? Because I think I said the Golden Compass and it wasn't, but I don't know what it actually was.
No, neither do I. I don't know.
But this year's film, 2012, it was a few months before when Ghost Protocol was released, and I went to see that. So
it's basically the top films cramming a plane stunt into the first 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's Rogue Nation though, not Ghost Protocol.
No, that's it. Oh yeah, see, they all blur into one.
They all blur into one. Yeah.
Was that the one when Tom Cruise runs from things?
That was Eyes Wide Shut.
Just to make sure his gay thoughts don't catch
He
up.
ran to an orgy. He ran from an orgy.
That's why he's always on the run.
Yeah, it was Ghost Protocol. Now, I can't honestly remember. Someone will tell me like it was only in London and on IMAX screenings or something.
Yeah, it was IMAX screenings.
I remember seeing this in the cinema, but I almost think it's a false memory. I've got a feeling it probably wasn't shown down here. But I do have a memory of seeing the footage of Bane where I couldn't understand what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah.
And it was fixed in the final release, which tells me I must have seen this prologue at some point.
Yeah, they did release the first 10 minutes or something, didn't they? And there was a lot of uproar about how the fact that you couldn't understand Bane and what he was going on about.
Yeah, there's a bit of concern about it. I mean, they did do like an IMAX release or on its own, but it was put on at the beginning of Rogue Nation in IMAX screenings, and that was like.
See, I didn't see that in IMAX, so I can't have seen this one. Well, no, we don't have IMAX down here. We will soon, but we don't at the moment.
Oh, okay.
We've got plenty of cinemas and big screens, but there is not an IMAX screen in my town.
Maybe they made like a special case. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I remember watching it and thinking like, I can't understand what word Bane is saying here, but. I kind of thought, okay, it might be one of the things where I just need to tune my ears. So, like, if, like, come next time around where I've spent a little bit of time, I would understand him, but they definitely did clear it up, which is probably for the best, really, because I think Bane has some of the best dialogue here, so in the film. So they definitely did something with the dialogue. There's video comparisons.
They fixed it. I mean, it was a problem in very early home releases as well, which appear to have been fixed. Now, maybe that's my home equipment's got better. I don't know. But I know it sounded like Bane was in a different film entirely when you first listened to it at home, and I had to turn it up for one and down for everyone else, or the other way round. I forget which. And it was really frustrating. I had to sit with the remote in my hand for the entire film, certainly when he was on screen. But I've always liked the opening sequence just fine. I thought it was okay.
I really like it. I mean, again, you got to give it to Nolan. As much as I might say he's crap at filming action, he has a really good sense of like practicality, and like the stuff he did with the plane looks great. It's a really good action. A good intro for Bane as well.
It always looks really clean IMAX, doesn't it? It's always a nice, clean, sharp image.
Nice, crisp image.
Yeah.
Looks brand new.
I had a little bit of a problem with it just from not being able to hear him, but yeah, it's an enjoyable sequence, and it ends up with the fire rises, which I haven't for years. I didn't link it to Ra's al Ghul talking about a cleansing fire.
Yeah, that kind of loops back into that, really, doesn't it? It's kind of the coda piece, really. So.
Yeah, now Gotham's sorted. We best burn it down.
Well, it's still corrupt by their levels in terms of.
I know when they do use it on the whole banking thing and the 1%. I know we'll get there.
But yeah, I know.
You've had like the crash in the meantime, haven't you? And there's a big. I think this is probably like the most of the three Nolan films. This is probably the most political And
you know what? I think it's a misconception. I don't think it is that political.
You think this has more to say about the world?
Yeah, just purely because of that. Really is. I mean, because Bane he's a terrorist, isn't he? Eventually, so that's why even though crime has been eradicated within Gotham, it just takes one nutcase. So okay, this is what's happened. We're just going to basically take down all the rich people, everybody who owns, who owns property and has money. And just basically start
the
raising
idea of money not insulating you against the world or against fear, I think is kind of interesting. I do, when I think of the second film, I cannot help but think of it being a very George W. Bush era film.
No, I would agree.
Spying on people. But I wouldn't... I certainly don't feel
maybe these two last films, and perhaps I'll change my statement.
I side more with you than Chris on that. In that, I think that this film is trying to say plenty. Yes.
I just think it's a bit more of a Tale of Two Cities kind of element. It talks of like the French Revolution and the poverty, but I think it's more on an aspect of let's kind of refer to Dickens, and of course towards the end you get like snowy
knitting at the end,
snowy scapes as well, which is very Dickens. It's like it's kind of more along the lines of that. I mean, you could say he's making like a comment about the 1%, but then there's
would have been more apt if he had a cape on in this one. Because he could have given that to Tiny Tim, and they could have had a
yes.
It was the best of times. It was the blurst of times. What the hell?
I mean, I suppose technically, because with Bruce Wayne, he's obviously he goes bankrupt in this, but he's a rich guy, and in the end, he gives all his wealth to the orphans and things like that. So there is probably something like along the lines of that, but yeah, I mean it's very...
He goes bankrupt and shags Marion Cotillard within minutes. I just think if that isn't a big advert for giving away all your money, I don't know what is.
Yeah, we'll get to that, I guess.
We cut from the opening sequence to don't we cross cut Jim Gordan speaking and the mayor speaking?
Yes, we get.
I've never known whether Jim Gordan is speaking on Harvey Dent Day, or whether it's a reprise of Harvey Dent's memorial from the first film, and then we cut to 8 years later.
You mean the that's right at the beginning, and then we get the intro to Bane, like the sort of like I believe in Harvey Dent.
Yeah, that picks up from the last film.
That's right at the front of the film.
And then it fast forwards 8 years.
I haven't watched that for a little while. It's been a few days. Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
after the Bane sequence, we've got the mayor talking, haven't we?
Yes. The Wayne Manor, they're having like a big party thing.
I know, and this mayor is wearing. It's not as noticeable on home release, but he was wearing a serious amount of makeup. It's really noticeable on the big screen. This guy is covered in a serious amount of slab.
It's about his like kind of male mascara look he seems to have.
Oh yeah, he just had like Jack Nicholson in the first Batman film.
Yeah.
When he had to go out with like normal coloured skin, it was a bit like that.
It does make him look a little bit pissed, but I will tell you, because obviously this guy has been in Lost and quite a few other famous shows as well. I sort of mainly know him through like Lost and obviously Bates Motel, and there was a big thing about does he wear guy liner? And I think he went on like Ellen and all these other chat shows and saying, look, I don't wear any.
It's been a long time since a bloke's been on.
I don't wear any sort of makeup like that. That's just how he looks naturally. Yeah. He's just got naturally stunning eyes, and he's very lucky. But it does actually. That's the thing about Blu-ray and IMAX as well. You can, everything's there. You can see it all.
He's wearing a lot of makeup. He is.
But I don't think he wears guy liner. No. Because he's been on record saying that he doesn't wear it and he's just naturally handsome. So.
And we can confirm he's been on Ellen.
Well, I don't think it's other US chat shows. If you sort of research...
other chat shows are available.
And Ellen as well. But no, it's just going off my knowledge from Bates Motel, which I've watched over the last like 5 years or however long it's been. And that's where I kind of mainly know him from, sadly. Well, no, it's just one of those things, because like Lost, I think, is overrated. Oh, runs from the internet.
You always hate giving an opinion. It's so funny. You're on a show that's all about giving opinions, and then you're like, I don't like it.
Even the show like Lost, which has like which there's divided people. It's like 50% people who really like it, and there's 50% of people who actually think it's shit. So...
What is it? It's like
and you're going, I'm not keen. And expecting.
Just going against the grain. It's like sort of Game of Thrones. It's like I've only seen like the first series, and I'm like, I'm gonna run from the internet. Everyone's gonna go, oh, you need to watch it. Oh my god! It's like really, I've got no time for this shit.
Yeah,
but you know,
you for having
anyway,
a
to get
life.
back to the point. Basically, he looks like he doesn't. Well, he might look like he's wearing a lot of eyeliner, but actually, he's not.
Well, I'm glad we spent so long on that. He explains that that Gotham. He basically tells you where Gotham is at this point. That crime obviously hasn't been eradicated. All cities will have crime, but we've cracked down on organised crime. That's largely disappeared. And we're, he's basically telling us that at least superficially, Gotham's in a good place.
Yeah, and then he sort of there's a sense of like they reintroduced the fact that Batman is an outlaw and obviously Harvey Dent's the saint and all this, and then he introduced Gordan, and Gordan's for some reason obviously Gordan is conflicting in terms of his he knows the truth, so he's like, I'm to hide it. I feel like for the greater good, but yeah, it's based on a lie. But it's just the idea, the fact that he's actually tempted to pull out this statement. That's just so. It just doesn't read like, okay, is then a really good time, Jim? Really?
It's not in any way that real life would run, obviously. But we get what we need to know. Gotham's in a fairly good place. Wayne Manor's almost a living museum in that there's kind of a Howard Hughes type living there.
We're told from Congressman to Matthew Modine's police chief that the mayor's going to drop the commissioner because he's no longer needed now. Almost,
yeah, because you don't need a police commissioner when crime's low, apparently.
But
I think they say something like he's a wartime commissioner.
Yeah, and his thing was kind of dropped from the film. I think there was kind of like hints that they were going to off the job to Matthew Modine's character, so that's why he was kind of like wanting to make an impression by capturing the Batman to kind of like to big up his own career. So that makes sense.
It does get a little bit lost. I mean, you can tell his ambition. I mean, I get his side of the fence in that, like, if you said to me, what does he want in the film? I'd say, well, I think he wants to replace Gordan. But the whole bit about Gordan going kind of gets, fades away so quickly that you almost don't put the two together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are things there. Again, it's just not brought forward, But hey ho, and we get introduced to a waitress played by Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, she's gone up with his dinner or something, hasn't she?
Yeah, I mean, I think Hathaway is great in this in this part of the film.
She's really great, isn't she?
I think she's generally great for that type of film anyway. But it's just really surprising she plays like.
I'm only laughing because you said great, and Becca came in with really great. And I was thinking, and for a moment in my head, I was just thinking, how do I top that? And all I could think of was Will Ferrell playing the guy from inside the Actors Studio and saying, it's scrumptious.
The thing is, though, you went there, but when you were saying to it, I kept thinking of Fast Show, like the Jazz Club. Great, really great.
That's great.
And what's Bruce Wayne like? Crazy, but nice.
But it's like,
I think she's pretty good though, because she's managed to make that jump from like sort of teenage films or like Disney-fied movies to, I was gonna say serious films, but from like sort of teen dramas, rom-coms, things like that. She's kind of managed to bridge that gap, really, hasn't she? So I think she's proved herself as sort of both comic and serious actress. So, but no, she's really good performances in this film all around, I think, from everybody.
I think when she was cast, I think people were kind of like, "Oh, is she really the right person to be doing this?" Because they don't really sort of see Anne Hathaway in that way. So
she's more known as a sort of a comic actress at that time, wasn't she? I think.
Yeah, well, kind of.
And this really proved a lot of people, actually she can do
That
this type
kind of
work.
thing.
And...
So it was kind of cool to see at the beginning of the film where she's kind of being shy and kind of like nervous and retiring, like this waitress character. Even though we kind of think, well, we know that's fucking Catwoman. But it's that switch when she gets caught by Bruce. She goes, "Oh, whoops." Oops. Yeah, and I think it's really sort of really impressive. It's really okay. So she gets a big thumbs up for me for this. I think there's a scene later on in the film which I think she's absolutely brilliant, where she plays like a really good actress within the film, where she just like switches from which person she interacts with to kind of like get away and do what she needs to do. I think it's great, but
she's the sort of person that I think you could be confident in like retiring with. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a trustworthy person with whom to spend my life. Okay, so
how did you two first speak? Well, I caught her stealing my mother's pearls.
Yeah. Well, no, he could actually genuinely say, well, I gave her a pearl necklace.
Dirty.
This would have been a very different film if I'd written it.
So
we see Bruce Wayne. He's got a beard because that's what happens when you let go of yourself a bit.
Yeah.
Apparently,
he's walking with a cane.
Charlie Brigden is the exception that proves the rule because he has a scrumptious beard.
Scrumptious. That's like a mixture of two very different words.
It's Will Ferrell playing James. What's he called on Inside the Actors Studio?
Yes, scrumptious. Who always makes up great big long words.
That's it. He couldn't think of a word to say how great something was, so he said,
"I'll smash two together."
Scrumptious.
Perfectly cromulent word.
Bruce is walking with a cane.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that obviously he's been out of it for several years. He looks a bit kind of drawn and beardy.
See, this is where the film kind of loses me. So
early on, really?
Well, it's just part of the films that sort of think, okay, was this necessary to kind of like play Bruce as like this injured, because what he needs to do later on just feels like a little bit unrealistic. Like, is he this battered at this point already? Like, the
film almost toys with telling us it's in his mind in some ways as well.
Yeah.
Because he needs a leg brace, but then he doesn't. And he's not fit, but then he sort of gets his mojo back and he's just about fit enough. And the film is rather mixed up on this.
Yeah, because it doesn't help the fact that he actually goes to have as medical treatment and he tells him that, your legs are fucked. So it's like medically, okay, it's confirmed.
Go heli skiing.
Like, if it hadn't have done that, we can sort of buy the fact that, it's kind of in his mind, in a sense. But then also, the film tells us that, or rather Alfred does, that he really wants to get back out there. It's that thing that's eating him up. He's like, he wants. It's the thing that's like destroying him from inside. It's the fact that he can't live without Batman. He can't get away from Batman, and he's like,
just done it for 8 years, sort of. But yeah, the film's really mixed up on this in that he doesn't start living again after Rachel and becomes a recluse. He says you've never moved on from Batman. I don't know that necessarily means you are still in some way Batman. I think it's more saying that that defined his life at one time, and he's not really replaced it with anything. Whichever way you want to read it, certainly his physical state is, although inconsistent, there is no doubt we have a qualified doctor say it with the aid of scans and X-rays and stuff. His body's very battered over. It was clearly a tough 10 months, 8 years before.
So Catwoman, she steals the pearls, but
gets a pearl necklace.
Outside of from a safe, which apparently is uncrackable.
Yeah,
not to cap.
Well, she didn't realise it was uncrackable. Yeah.
No.
Is that how it works? If I wander up to a bank and I don't think it's going to be difficult to break in, it'll be a piece of piss.
Probably.
Well, no, if the manufacturer doesn't tell Batman, then
Okay.
But
All right, whatever.
But in reality, all Catwoman's after is like Bruce Wayne's fingerprints. Yeah, so that's really what
You'll
she.
find that out immediately. She's just a petty thief. It appears at this stage, but a fairly skilled one. And she jumps out the window and disappears off with a congressman or senator or whatever it is. We never know if that's a state or national congressman, but whatever, a senior politician from that city.
Somebody who's very high up, generally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is while this is happening. In Wayne Manor, we get introduced basically to Miranda Tate, who is not Talia al Ghul.
No, at this stage he's not Talia al Ghul.
And Ben Mendelsohn's Taggart, Dr. Taggart.
Not
Taggart.
There's been a murder. Yeah, I tried very hard not to call him Taggart, but actually his name's Taggart. But anyway, yeah, it's Ben Mendelsohn who would. He's a bit he's another one who's a bit stereotyped into playing like villainous roles. Obviously, he's in most recent Star Wars movie as Empire Goon, but
as a disgruntled employee, basically.
Disgruntled employee.
He's really brilliant, and he's really brilliant in a Netflix show called Bloodline. And I lost interest about a third of the way through the second season because the show is very, very slow indeed. But he is like the black sheep of the family in that very.
I don't.
It's really good. It's worth looking at. Set in the Florida Keys, got a hell of a cast in it.
And Animal Kingdom as well.
Yes.
He's great in that. But yeah, no, I really like Ben Mendelsohn. So
yeah, he's big, isn't he? So yeah, Bruce managed to get hold of the fingerprints.
yes, Alfred got they have a meeting at Alfred. He sort of like they figured out that what she was really after was like the fingerprints of him. And then where do we move on from there?
Well, like it kind of we dwelt a little bit on the fact that how he hasn't actually moved on, because Alfred's kind of got this dream that imagine they're on I don't know, Italy somewhere, and they kind of see each other across the restaurant, and that he's got like wife. And
yeah,
kids.
this is down in the back cave. He says that I used to go on a holiday, and I used to go to this river, or this cafe on the river in Florence, and I used to sit and have a coffee. And from that,
I have a flaming burger.
Yeah, from that, Bruce knows exactly which cafe and when Alfred takes his holidays, unless he's just spent thousands of pounds on coffee in there over the previous year.
Well, actually, I've thought about this. I reckon he could probably figure out because he says, "I'll go to this this place." While you were going, he probably just like looked at his bank card receipts and go like, "Oh, that was the waste." That's such a time. I would have thought that's how he would have figured it out.
All right, fair enough. All right, so yeah, he works it out from that. Apparently, he does tell him all about how he always wished he'd never come back and all the rest of it. We've missed the bit where Alfred has a wonderful conversation with Marion Cotillard's cleavage just before we meet. Catwoman. I just thought I'd mention that because that stood out a mile.
Oh wait, what was it that he said?
He was just saying he's not seeing anyone. He's not seeing visitors because obviously she's becoming very important within the board of Wayne Enterprises. So he's taken no interest in his company or anything, and it's still telling you that the gatekeeper to Bruce is Alfred.
And it's kind of funny how you got both Alfred and Fox later on. They both kind of like they're like the parents of Bruce, kind of think, oh, she should like go out with this girl. Oh, she's lovely, really. You should, she'd be. I reckon she'd be good for you. He's like, oh, God, leave it out. Come on, I'm not interested in girls.
I'd be having you date. Do you know him recommending Marion Cotillard's character in this is a little bit like Ferrara recommending the main villain in Almost Opening.
I know.
It's like
can you imagine if Bruce went like, yeah, all right then, and then like go, oh fuck, well thanks Alfred.
Cheers then. She was a mentalist. What were you on about? She kept on about cleansing fires.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So she basically absconds with the senator, and there's a bit of a search for him. Then
This is where we go down to, well, not into the sewers, but into the shelter.
Is there not something before that? Just double check.
well, there's a scene in the bar where you really see Anne Hathaway's range in this film, because she plays like frightened and terrified and hysterical and completely calm in one go.
Yeah, it's a switch, isn't it? It's just constantly someone like
It's
screaming.
kind of really natural kind of switch between the two, and
But it shows
Yeah.
like a level of confidence as well, like when she kind of like plays him in like one of Daggett's like henchmen.
She's there to sell Bruce Wayne's fingerprints.
Yeah.
We don't know at this point why. She only wants the clean slate for it. We know why she wants it. She wants a fresh start. Later on, we'll see her with some fruit, Chris.
fruit corner.
Yeah, Chris's fruity corner coming soon.
Get ready, folks. I've got Anne
so the
Hathaway with
police-
an apple. Oh shit! I've spoiled it.
So she uses the congressman's phone in order, and it alerts the police to where they are.
Yeah.
And they've effectively chased them down into the sewers. We see that. I think we see that the new guy, John Blake, is braver. He wants to go down there. None of the rest of them do. Gordan goes down there as well and ends up getting shot.
Yeah, we haven't talked about John Blake because he was introduced before, wasn't he?
Yes.
He's basically like the idealized cop. He's like the young cop who always wants to do the right thing, and I think the idea is getting frustrated with the system within the system that like wanting to do the right thing. Here, it's kind of displayed the fact that he wants to go in after Gordan, but he's told no. You know, it's like, well, you know, we need to go in and save him, and he's like, well, get this hothead out of here. He's like, okay, right, fine. So it's like throughout the film, he is this like idealized cop who wants to do the right thing, but is constantly getting told no or unable to do it. And like Bruce Wayne, he is an orphan, so he has that connection.
Yeah, and he knows that he's Batman by
'Cause-
briefly looking at his
his
eyes when
eyes.
he's a child. This is fucking bollocks. It's just, we don't know, so we'll just say any fucking thing.
The thing is, though, it's really well delivered, but when you think about it, it's like, oh, okay. But because
I think he's great in this. I really think he's very, very good, and he does deliver. It's not that it's even poor dialogue, which I'm often critical of Nolan for. It's decent dialogue describing a really poor idea.
I mean, like, when he's talking about it, he's talking about actually seeing Bruce Wayne and the look within Bruce Wayne's eyes. Now,
I knew who you were then.
as like,
I've seen that look before. Who from? Which other Batman did you see that?
Well, the thing is that he doesn't even talk about seeing Batman and seeing the look in his eyes or anything like that. If he said like, "Oh, what's one night I saw Batman and I looked right into his eyes, i.e., your eyes," I can tell instantly. Then with that, I can.
And I
be
met you in summer,
okay.
and you had like a suntan just around your mouth, and I was a bit suspicious.
But if you said that, I'd be like, all right, I'll buy it. You just read the guy correctly or something, you know.
But he looked at him and went, "Yeah."
Oh yeah,
Batman.
you go around fighting, saving crime.
Yeah, because you came in with a woman on your arm, but your eyes betrayed the truth. Not that you were like pretending to be happy, and maybe there was a bit of tragedy there, but that you used your brilliance fighting supervillains. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, but
And I do think half the sort of where they put this film is, well, they put it this far ahead because he's got to have been affected by the Batman we knew when he was a child. But having said that, Batman was only active for 10 months, 8 years before, which means 9. You think, well, how young a child was he? Joseph Gordon-Levitt's what, 30?
I think let's just say he's in his like early 20s because he's a fresh new cop, isn't he? So let's say
He still looks quite fresh faced though. He's, you know,
Yeah.
I remember him from, you know, Third Rock from the Sun type days, and he always, I think, you know, youth will be on his side.
Okay. All right, well, we'll buy into the time frames.
let's just say when he was probably a teenager like around the time Batman was around. So so probably be like early 20s.
Yeah, he can still pass.
Okay. But he's still got a link to the children's home he grew up in. And I think we find out as well that the children's home is basically about to close because it's funded out of the profits.
Yes, it's funded from the profits, and there ain't no profits.
There ain't no profits.
No. We need to
and I love the fact that I had a bit of a... It's better than, but it gave me a bit of a Spider-Man 3 flashback where he says, Alfred, why did they stop, why is the house in trouble? And he says something like... because it's funded out of the profits of Wayne Enterprises, and for that to happen, there has to be some profits. And I'm thinking, but Alfred, you knew all that through the last 8 years. Why didn't you say to him, "You're about to be really fucked"?
You're about to be bankrupt. Why did
and
you
it
not
reminded
stop
me
it?
of Spider-Man 3. Your father died by his own hands. You've just let him go on a crime rampage. Why didn't you just say then, by the way, I looked at this wound on him and immediately deduced he must have given that to himself. Fucking hell. Coming soon, folks, Spider-Man.
Jesus.
But yeah, so it's better than, but it's just like, you just think, why haven't people been warning him?
Well, I guess he's been not in the right frame of mind to be listening to anyone.
that.
Maybe they have, but he's just perhaps not been on the listening end.
The film doesn't sell me that anyone's even bothered.
I mean,
It's
there is a whole thing with this, like, this reactor thing that he's been that he's invested all his money in a way to that would like really help Gotham, but it's just kind of like a failed project.
Yeah, there's this big reactor in the shape of a bomb. And it can either fuel the city or destroy it.
And it was deemed too dangerous, so he just shut it down. But then it can end up being this big costly thing that's bankrupted the company.
They put all their R&D budget into it, and the bat.
Yeah, so it's been one of them like, oh, we can't keep it a secret. Oh, so we're trying to keep it a secret, but we can't sort of like let people know about it.
Yeah. And also, so he goes to see Lucius, and Lucius is like, Bruce Wayne as I live and breathe. And all I could hear when I heard that was, Dawn Tinsley as I live and breathe from Gareth in the office. I was like, God, this is bollocks.
Oh, dear.
But, the actors are selling it to me. I mean, Christian Bale does look a bit beaten down, but, trying to ease back into the world.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's clear Wayne Enterprises is in trouble.
Yeah, so there is Fox basically re-established what Alfred said. He also goes like, "Oh, we should meet Mistake. Oh, she's lovely."
By the way, do you want to go on this plane?
Yeah,
I've named it the Bat. Doesn't look like a bat, but the Bat.
It's called the Bat.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically like the air version of the tumbler, really.
Yeah, it's the
Bigger and better.
fucking thing. But there you go.
And there's something about the autopilot which doesn't work yet. There's no wink, wink.
I know, that was just such a given. I heard that in the film, and I was like, well, that's going to go off at the end, isn't it? All right, okay. Right, so we've got this thing that looks a bit like a bomb, and this thing that doesn't have an auto-destruct that could carry it out the city. Yeah, it's a mystery. Don't know where this is going. Bruce, Gordon's been shot, and Bane finds the letter.
Yes, and
which he carries around with him at all times.
Well, it's a fascinating read.
Yeah, makes for good reading, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, what I don't understand is a bit of dialogue here, because he kills one of the two guys that bring Gordan. He just kills one of the guys by like squeezing his neck, which is pretty intimidating. And then there's a bit of dialogue where he says like, "Search him, then I'll kill you." I just thought, well, that's not much an incentive to search him.
No.
It's like,
yeah.
But I don't know if he says and then I'll kill you or I'll kill you. I don't know. It just seems a little bit confusing to me. Like, why would you say that? But I guess it's the kind of like how committed his henchmen are. They're all like willing to die for him. Blah de blah.
He didn't get really a choice there, but all right.
Yeah.
What was I say was that in the first scene, it's like as the fire.
No,
as we start
run
the fire.
the wreckage, brother.
So I can't do a Bane accent, but anyway.
No, you
Really, I
can't.
don't know.
I wonder whether Pooh was in this. All right, so Gordon's in hospital. Bruce wants to go and visit him.
Yeah.
And basically uses the cover of getting a doctor's opinion on whether he should go skydiving or something. I forget the exact sport.
Heli skiing.
Heli skiing.
I
Okay.
think it is, or something, or spelunking,
What
or
does
something
that,
like that.
heli skiing? Does that involve just standing on the top of a helicopter with skis on?
Probably jumping out of a helicopter, like, I don't know,
With
like Bondas
skis
and all
on.
this and that.
Yeah, but he only jumped about 10 feet. That's
Yeah,
the-
I don't actually know. I'm not an extreme sports person, as you know.
Really? Damn.
Would have guessed.
Okay, so Gordon's secret is known to Bane, that they covered up Harvey's actions. Bruce goes into the hospital, and we'll get to that scene in a minute. They've got something that can power Gotham but could be used as a terrible weapon.
Yes.
They need... and what else? And John Blake knows he's Batman because eyes and stuff.
Because face.
Okay, excellent. So we next see him at the hospital seeing if he's allowed to heli-ski. And I wouldn't like the way this doctor talked. If this was me, I've
I
seen
want to get a
worse
second opinion, wouldn't
cartilage.
you?
Because there isn't any. I see what you did there. But, well,
Second opinion, please.
I wouldn't want him telling me I've got cancer. I think I'd be all clear. I think for the first 8 seconds he was giving me the all clear, and then he'd be, but it's a tumour.
Well, Mr. Bond, there's no need for any treatment at all. Oh, good, because it's pointless.
Because you're screwed.
Oh, brilliant.
Because you ain't got none.
Because you only got 5 weeks.
Yeah, I've seen.
Oh dear.
I've seen
Oh dear.
worse treatable cancers. Because this one isn't treatable. Yeah. All right. So great. So then he puts on the best.
Not very
he's
nice,
got.
is it? Oh dear.
So then he basically puts a sock over his head and jumps down the chin. And sits in a full suit with a balaclava on going.
Say that again.
They
Oh,
talk
that was a
about
ringtone.
Batman wasn't needed anymore, apparently. And he sounds. Gordon sounds like a kid who didn't get what he wanted for Christmas or something. But he's got to come back.
Take you back in the world.
Well, this was kind of used in the trailer, wasn't it? The kind of
It was-
first teaser trailer.
What's the teaser? Yeah.
But you have to come back. Yeah. So, obviously, with the rise of Bane, which Alfred is a bit more skeptical of. He's like, yeah, I don't think you're quite ready to go and face this guy because he seems to like the Leauge of Shadows and Bruce.
He's done some some exercise in the last decade.
Didn't Tom Hardy put on like £30, whereas he's obviously lost £30.
I'll fight harder. I always do.
Yeah, he's a bit flippant by it. It's like criminals aren't that. Oh yeah, no, that's in Dark Knight. He says, "Oh, I'm not known to be trifling with criminals," kind of thing, almost like kind of not really taking it seriously. He just sort of seems like, "Yeah, I'll beat him. I'll beat Raz."
We see him try the leg brace as well,
Yeah.
which never gets mentioned again in the entire rest of the film, because it gives him effectively a fucking bionic leg, and nearly fucking takes the mansion down with the first. You know.
Well, it's a quick fix for that knee problem which we've established, and which makes you think, well, if you just didn't bother in the first place, then you wouldn't need to establish a problem for a solution for it.
I know. It's like we've put it on 10 years, all that time in the future, and got this guy who's fucked, and we're supposed to be like, yay, Batman, when he's just a broken down old man. But it's brave, I guess. It's different. But I guess we go straight. I think we're going to the attack on the Gotham Stock Exchange now.
Yeah.
Wall Street,
Bane takes Wall Street, essentially.
pretty much.
Yeah, because this is really weird. He goes in and basically uses Bruce's fingerprints in order to commit some kind of gambling on something. That he loses. Basically, he uses all of Bruce's money to sort of crash it. Is that about right?
But yeah, it's near enough as far as I understand it. He uses Wayne's bringing to basically make him go like bankrupt.
Yeah.
To kind of force his hand.
Why would that have not been locked down immediately? Why is it not in time we might be able to prove this?
I think it is mentioned the fact that you'll be able to do it, but in the meantime, Daggett's gonna move in. It'll be too late, almost like so. We can prove.
But there's CCTV. Bruce watches it with Alfred. Look at his training, his skills.
I see the Leauge of Shadows. I see.
They know he's broken in there, right, and used this Bruce Wayne's. They can prove this instantly. It's bollocks. But anyway, the action sequence isn't bad. I actually think this is probably my favourite part of the film. There was a lot of complaints about inconsistency because it's like daylight and then it goes dark very quickly, but you can see that it's actually done pretty accurately, I think. They are starting to lose the light when they go in, and then it's pretty linear. It only takes, 10, 15 minutes for the sun to set, generally, I would have thought. And I just think there's something about Batman coming back into action and then the whole town like chasing him, the whole police department, in a convoy down the street chasing him, and them thinking he's been captured and stuff. I think it's really great. I do like this sequence a lot. It's one of my favourite set pieces in any of the Batman films.
It's quite impressive, isn't it? I think.
Well,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not my favourite, but it works absolutely fine. I think by this point you're kind of ready for it. I do like the Bane stock exchange. Plus, also you've got the stuff with Catwoman, or well, she's not really called Catwoman in this though, really. So we should really call her Selina Kyle. But
she's called like the cat, isn't she? I don't think she's called. I think in the script. Yeah, she appears as Catwoman.
She's a cat burglar, yeah.
Yeah, she's Selina or the cat burglar for sure. So.
But she breaks into Daggett's apartment and kind of like
she's looking for the clean slate.
Basically, sort of like give me what you promised me, almost. And yeah, she has a good line where like that's like, oh, so those heels make it hard to walk in. She kicks him in the leg, says, "Do they?" Which I kind of like. So all that's happening around the sort of same sort of time. Bane gets away, but Batman catches like the other guys and the hostages and whatnot. So in other words, Batman's really just sort of like not really done anything, just like sort of like go, "Hey guys, I'm back."
Yeah, he stops someone getting shot.
Yeah, I guess.
And then tries to effectively follow Bane. Or he's attempting to follow the tablet it's all being downloaded onto. And he's actually successful in that, because that's another thing where I don't think they've really thought it through, because the argument the next day is you just led the police a merry dance and you drew them away from Bane. Well, actually, the main thing was to try to intercept that process. And he did stay on that correctly. He followed the right person at all times.
But it just kind of like it went down anyway, didn't it?
It went down. Yeah, it was too late. Basically, It took him that long. But when he steps into shot, when the guy's on the floor and all the rest of it, I do like all this. And then he thinks he's cornered, and he finds a way out of that, and jumps into the least sexy aircraft ever. But
yeah, I think you got the wrong animal there, sir.
Yeah, I just thought they could have been a little bit cooler. Do you know what I mean?
I guess. I think. Yeah. I mean,
there's functional, and then there's that just looks like a fucking block. It's horrible.
I suppose, but didn't the tumbler look kind of like a block though?
Yeah, I like the tumbler though, so that immediately validates your argument.
Okay, fine.
In other words, yeah, you're probably right. So, where do we go from there? Gordan promotes.
No, you're jumping out, because now we get to he's back at Wayne Manor. Alfred's.
Look at his training.
Yeah.
I don't know if he sounded quite that panicked, to be fair.
But he gives him like the fingerprints. So give this to Fox and analyze it. Bear in mind this is like early in the morning because everything's gone daylight now. And Alfred tells him this will be the last thing I do for you because I have to leave because leaving is the only thing that I can do that will stop you from your own demise.
Yeah, I remember.
I cared for you ever since.
You're crying when you were a baby in the halls of this mansion you rebuilt 4 years ago.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
And then you went round and made it look like 4 centuries old. And I remembered you crying in halls that weren't here and were in a completely different shaped mansion. So what I'm going to do is burn this. I burnt this letter, right? And I'm off to a Premier Inn.
Maybe the truth should have its day.
Yeah. So that is our recreation.
Maybe I said I burnt said letter saying that Rachel chose Harvey Dent over you. How dare you use Rachel against me?
Apparently, he had a bigger dick. And so Alfred goes.
Yeah, which surprised me actually in this watch. You realise fucking hell, Alfred's not in the rest of the film now till like right at the very end.
Yes.
Which
comes back for a coffee. That's what I call acting.
Yeah, but he comes back for a cry first. But yeah, no, there's
They give him a coffee to cheer him up.
But yeah, it's kind of surprised me because it's only like 50 minutes in the film. He's not in the rest of it now.
Yeah. So he disappears. Yeah.
And the next scene
and
is.
I was disappointed to find Bruce Wayne has never seen Rocky.
Yeah.
Because he never learned that women weaken legs.
This is where we need Mickey to kind of tell you about these things.
Yeah. No fooling around.
Oh dear.
Yeah, basically.
Well, look at this training. He'll murder ya.
The dialogue is awful in that bit because he's going like, "It's belief," and I'm thinking, do people talk like that? You see people fighting, and you go, "Look, it is belief."
I see the League of Shadows reformed.
Yeah,
quite clearly.
I see the training of Ra's al Ghul himself.
But Alfred, you only met him for a couple of minutes, and the place was on fire. Like, what training's that you saw?
I don't think he even met Ra's al Ghul anyway.
I don't know. But he might have, to be fair, he might have seen the back of his head briefly. Alfred's quit immediately because of his training and his belief and letters. Right? And then Miranda comes round and does Bruce.
No, you're jumping ahead.
Am I?
Yeah.
Skipping ahead.
Doorbell rings, it's Fox, basically tells, and then we had that scene where he's like, Alfred? Where he's literally like, Alfred's literally told him he's leaving, and he wakes up thinking, where's Alfred?
He's enjoying the very reasonably priced Premier Inn breakfast.
$8.99.
And then Fox shows up, and he said, answering your own door? And tells him he's bankrupt.
Sign of the times.
And then says, well, you better sort out a meeting with Miranda Tate then. And they need to show her this project thing. So they meet Miranda, show her this new highly secret reactor thingy that's really a bomb. Or
cold fusion.
Used as a bomb. Yep.
I don't think that we've got anything to worry about.
No, she always seems
this isn't dodgy at all, no.
She always seems like principled and whatnot, and sort of speaks of like having like things that Ra's al Ghul was saying. Because if you actually look at her dialogue,
and of course fit.
Yeah.
It's a sort of twist that isn't really a twist, is it? Really?
Well, no. I mean, if you look at the dialogue that she says in that gala, which
she actually tells you loud and clear, and it's like
which kind of like you have to invest if you want to restore balance. It's like, well, that's kind of what Ra's al Ghul says, and sort of, and there's certain things when like we're talking with Daggett as well in terms of like, it's like all you care about is money and blah blah blah, it'd be lost on you.
I was suspicious when she announced she was Talia al Ghul as well.
Yeah,
I saw that coming.
That was a big clue, wasn't it?
That was a
big clue. Yeah, when she says, "Oh, by the way, my name is not Miranda Tate."
No. Yeah, that wouldn't have been as big a clue. Anyway.
Yeah. So it's talk about trust as well. There's where she's like saying, well, you kind of, you really. are you willing to prepare to do what's right and all this kind of thing.
All that is necessary.
Yes, the will to act. And then so basically we get straight to like the board meeting, don't we?
Yeah, and he's effectively
Kicked out.
Bruce is told
Yeah.
to get out.
This is like probably the second time he's been ejected from his own company.
Yeah,
Bruce Corporation.
the Bruce Enterprises.
Bruce Enterprises, that was it.
Bruce Enterprises.
Starring Bruce. From an original
Wayne
idea
Bruce.
by Bruce.
Run by Bruce.
That eccentric millionaire, Wayne Bruce. Yeah.
What does he do for a living? The Enterprises. I'm not convinced they thought this through.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
it's
but
it's like Stark Industries, isn't it? What do? They used to make weapons. And
What do they do now? They used to make weapons. Oh,
Other stuff, including garbage disposal.
making sharp suits.
Yeah.
so yeah, Daggett kicks him out, and Miranda has the edge and gets essentially.
Does she?
Yes.
Oh, but why did she suddenly
him.
meet up with you two?
Did you find out what
I didn't see that.
was
coming.
under that hat?
Yeah. Right, so she inexplicably has sex with the lead guitarist from U2.
Oh dear, dear.
See, I was just talking about the new pizza for Pizza Hut. That's what I was talking about. So yeah, she essentially gets in charge of the company, and Bruce gets his car taken away because he's broke. So he gets a lift from Blake. And while in the meantime, Daggett is furious. He's like, we spent all this money with Bane, and his plan hasn't worked. And then Bane shows up, which I think is one of
It's too terrifying to find out what happens to Daggett. I imagine he gets his eyes removed or something like that. It's pretty gross. It happens off screen.
It's actually one of my favourite scenes because he's just like so intimidating. Like when he shows up, he's like, "Speak to the devil, no, shut up here," and he's just
And
sort
Daggett's still like, "Who the hell are you? You know, who do you think you are coming in here?" Rah, 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 rah.
And I paid you a lot of money, and just rests his hand on him. It's like, do you feel in charge? I think that is just such a weighty kind of like, oh shit.
Yeah, and you just think, "Oh bugger, that's not going to end well, is it?" And then you kind of hear it off screen. And it's just this kind of crunching.
There's not enough of that in this film, Becca. People say, "Bugger." Do you feel in charge? Bugger.
Bugger. That's a posh show quote. So,
Yeah.
bugger.
Hand all around my arse. I'm being a bit disruptive here, aren't I? Anyway, carry on.
Are you want to go in any, arse? But no, I think that's a terrifying scene, definitely. And again, you just kind of, whoops, it's my phone. And we cut to Bern Gorman's character outside, and you just hear this terrible crunching sound.
Yeah.
You know that he's just probably ripping his skull apart. You just think, oh my god.
This weird like, it's like if it looks like he's gonna go for a straight up like break your neck thing, like you're gonna hear this, but it just feels like a bit more prolonged. Like it's like, yeah, you can tell it's a bit agonising.
Also, another useless Doctor Who link for you. Bern Gorman was in Torchwood. So
I know he played a complete fucking bellend in it.
Yeah, he's a bit of a knob.
Couldn't stand that.
But
shit.
he's got another underrated character actor.
Well, yeah, if you like everything he plays to be absolutely unbearably a twat, yeah, brilliant.
He just gets pigeonholed into these dodgy roles.
He's great in that show on Amazon. What's it called? Why is the name?
I know which one you mean.
It's the one where it's like the alternative.
Man in High Castle.
Yes.
That's
yes.
the one. Yeah, that's the one. Yep. Yeah, no, he's really, really good in that. The book's really good as well. I read that recently. So
Okay.
Really good.
Do you expect someone
Anyway, moving on.
recommends The Man in High Castle?
Yes.
Starring some pages. And I don't recommend Torchwood.
Yeah.
I do. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, but Chris said yeah, so that's implicit agreement, in which case 2/3 of us do not recommend Torchwood.
Well, Doctor Who's bollocks anyway, so...
Well, anyway, moving on.
That's a shit, carry on.
Tortured by association is... So, yeah, Bruce gets dropped off at Selena Kyle's apartment, and it basically asks for help, essentially finding Bane. I was like, well,
Wrong voice. Whoa.
Yeah.
Can you take my friend to him?
Yeah.
Who's your friend, Batman?
Yeah. Which is kind of like was established before because he saved her from on the rooftop bit.
When the bloke fell over.
Yes.
With no one anywhere near him. Pay attention, Chris. Dreaming of Inception and Interstellar. You took your eye off the ball.
Anyway.
Christopher Nolan,
yeah,
that is
not me.
Your eyes were always on the ball.
Oh, thank you. And then next scene, it's pissing outside Wayne Manor, and then Bruce.
It does tend to rain when you go bankrupt.
It does, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. The weather has a big effect on your finances.
I don't know if anyone's ever gone bankrupt in good weather.
And obviously, Bruce can't get in because he hasn't got a key. Never needed one.
If you've been bankrupted in good weather, please write to us at expectustotalk@gmail.com.
And Miranda's there miraculously without any chaperone, without any person at all. She's just like, hey, I'm here.
Let's have some sex.
Yeah, no, okay, this is one of the problems for me. Like, if this relationship is so underdeveloped.
Yes.
Like, are we supposed to sort of, like, think, like, okay, there's some sort of chemistry between these two?
Which there isn't, because they haven't spent any time together.
I figured it would have made much more sense if the film started and it was already established there was a thing going on between them. It would have made a lot more sense, and there would have been like a thing like, oh right, well,
they were close to or flirted.
This is who Bruce should be with, and then you have Catwoman.
It's so tonally fucked as well because the film ends up with him with Catwoman, so we can't have too much of a romance in this film because it would devalue that. It's a bit like You Only Live Twice, funnily enough, talking about it a bit earlier, that Aki is like the closest he gets to a love interest in that film, and when they kill her off, they quickly got to do something else. And I think they haven't really given it anything that it requires in order to make it work. She turns up, not only has he just been bankrupted, but he kind of moons a little bit over a picture of Rachel, and then fucks Miranda Tate, and I just think tonally this is a really weak scene.
It just feels like, there has to be a romance here between them, so let's just try to force it.
I mean, we know what she's doing. She's trying to weaken him, literally.
Yeah. Because, like, girls make weak legs.
Why, you don't just fucking, stab him or something? I don't know. Well, she will later, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, the whole plan is to kind of, like, make him watch, wasn't it? That's the whole...
Okay, yeah, all right.
Because they're like, we had Bane would just be upset, but I was going to take him to that pit. Oh...
Yeah. Tom Conti's waiting there.
Tom Conti.
So,
because that's appropriate casting.
Doing a European non-Pacific accent.
Yeah. Who do we want for this role? Tom.
A bit
Conti.
generic European accent.
All right. So, she weakens him, and then he goes off, probably still stinking of sex in that rubber batsuit. Because they've got no, he's got no electricity or anything. Probably ain't got any running water.
So they had like a weird fire. They're all curled up by the fire, and there's a scar, like initiation scar. Like he didn't pick up on like, oh, hang on, is that something like?
That looks a bit like.
He goes and meets Selena Kyle to lead her to Bane. She takes out a few of the guards, but obviously it's a trap.
Yeah.
Trap, don't you know?
And then this fight with Bane's quite funny because he's been doing theatricality through his career, and what is it he chucks at Bane in this one? This wet fart of a fight.
Well, he just stands there and he's just like, okay.
Because it's not very impressive, is it?
Theatricality.
That really wasn't theatricality, Bane.
No, just like...
are powerful tools to the uninitiated, But we
You are
are
initiated, aren't you?
aren't we,
On the
Bruce?
extras, I saw some concept art for this. The concept art looks better than the actual final execution. Concept art for what this could have been was tremendous. It's not a bad scene though, and it does lean on the original Nightfall image where he breaks Batman's back.
I really like how they chose not to have any music. It just feels like all right, this is like the center of the film.
There's no source music. It's more just like, noise of the engines and explosions and guns going off. Whereas this time it's just literally you can hear the punches being thrown. You can hear it when sort of his connect, and it kind of makes it more. Again, because the theatricalities were quite lacking, it feels a lot more visceral. And I think this is the first time we've seen actually Batman get into like a proper fight with the lead villain.
And gets his ass kicked completely.
He really does get it handed to him, doesn't he?
I mean, I liked how it's just literally got all Bane's men just stood around, not actually doing anything, just like watching it.
And just kind of mocking him, really,
just,
making fun of him.
Well, there's just no need. It's like, well, Bane's the guy to do it, and they're just going to watch Bane just crucify him.
Yeah, Bane is in Gotham to fulfill his, destiny, as he would see it.
Ra's al Ghul's destiny.
Indeed. Then, so he kicks Batman's ass and then decides to fly into the Middle East and go with him, right? To drop him into this prison.
Yes.
With Tom Conti.
With Tom Conti. To torture, not of your body, but of your soul. As he puts it. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've got no problem with it.
Got an interesting admissions policy, this prison, haven't they?
I don't think there is a policy really. I think it's just literally.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, here you are. I mean, supposedly this is kind of like a League of Shadows kind of. This basically belongs to the League of Shadows to an extent. Yeah, like. I'm fine with this because I think that they've got to tie it up with the original. I think coming back to when this was announced, when they were going to do a third one, I thought, right, well, they have to tie it up with Ra's al Ghul, so there's going to be Talia. Obviously, it's going to be Talia. So this whole twist wasn't really that much of a surprise to me. So by this point, where they're kind of like laying it on thick in terms of like, the child of Ra's al Ghul, and they're like assuming that it's Bane. It's like, well, Bane's already established. Like, I didn't see the dark until I was a man. Which
even though there's quite a lot of light in there when we eventually see it.
Yeah, well, it's maybe candlelight.
It's kind of open plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and of course also like quite clearly there's a big bulking protector, quotation marks. It's like quite clearly that's Bane, isn't it? So yeah, it wasn't that much of a surprise to me, but I'm kind of fine with it because we need Batman to kind of basically do a Rocky 3, find out who he rediscover himself.
Tom Conti never wears like a crop top though.
No.
Which is disappointing, if I'm honest.
Well, see, maybe this was probably where Joker would have been. Maybe Joker would have been like, kind of like the Apollo Creed.
Down there in a boob tube saying, "I'll train your kid."
Bruce, you had the eye of the tiger. Where's it gone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's what they originally planned for Joker. Maybe just like, yeah.
So it's just a plot device to keep him out of the way for a few months while the plan unfolds. I think it's all badly thought through. I just think it's really like, okay, well, I can see why you're doing it, but you've put yourself into these positions to have to come out with such dumb ideas to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, I do get, and I do like the idea that he has to kind of like, he's lost his way, he needs to retrain himself, come to kind of like reprise himself of that in a way. So I'm fine with that. It's just when you have to like establish how does he get from there all the way into Gotham. I mean, they have given them was it a 5-month time frame?
Yeah.
So there is some time there. But anyway, so they leave Bruce in a pit.
Fly back to Gotham.
Yeah.
And then basically, is it here where they basically bomb the football ground?
I don't know, Becca, where are we up to?
Yes, we are coming up to there.
Well, don't we have the board scene? Bane makes a pit. There are scenes where Blake figures out.
Oh yeah, basically, figure out, kind of who she is really. So.
Well, yeah.
So tries to quiz.
He figures out Bruce has gone missing. He's like, okay, something's up, and then he tracks Selena Kyle, who's desperately trying to get away because he knows
she's trying to escape out the country, isn't she? And
she
then
knows
she's like, "Oh, we got you."
Something's bad's going down, but Blake apprehends her.
Yeah, she ends up in the clink.
in the prison.
Yeah.
So where do you go to next, Becca?
Yeah, in prison. Well, yeah, then we turn the reactor kind of actually turns into a bomb. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, we get Bane in the boardroom.
And he could have just thrown it into the water, but there was some baby ducks there, and so he turned around, and then there was a couple of nuns. Right, so they've now got 5 months until the core does whatever it's going to do, and this thing blows up. With a ticking clock on it, that's very precise.
Yes.
Fucking hell. Right, okay.
I mean, they could have put like a little bit of a lint on it with and sent it on light like.
So the police go into the sewers, all of them at once, to try to get Bane. They're all on shift at the same time as well.
Yeah.
And Bane basically bombs a football stadium, and it
basically bombs everywhere, because basically they'd be filling explosives everywhere in terms of.
You get the national anthem sung by not a very good little singer, but fair enough. Bane likes it. And then the other thing that I've always found odd, and maybe this is a comic book reference, but they're the Gotham City fucking Hornets or something, right? And they play in like black and yellow.
They're rogues.
But all it means is, because the crowd are all wearing like the same stuff, the stadium looks empty even though it's full of people because of the colours they're wearing. So I always thought that was a bit of a shitty choice.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, it does. When you get an above shot of it, you just think, oh, the seats are empty, and then you're like, oh, actually, no, there are people in it. They're just wearing yellow.
Or just means you don't have to like, you can just sort of leave it half empty and then like go,
yeah. I just think Nolan was sat sketching, doing little drawings for Interstellar in his lunchtimes on this. So where do we get? John Blake tries to stop it all and kills somebody.
Yeah, instantly sort of, I don't think I like that.
Yeah, I should become a Batman. And then a kid walks by, catches the look in his eyes, and 10 years later he'll be like, I knew you were Batman.
And from that look I knew that Bruce Wayne was the other Batman.
And also, the way you curled your lip, I thought, oh, Bruce is in that pit in the Middle East. Yeah. Okay. So this is where we get the Gotham is yours.
Yeah, he does the he kills Dr. Pavel right in front of everyone.
Yeah. Quite the half-time show. Normally you used to get like Michael Jackson.
That is a bit of an epic half-time show, really, isn't it? So.
Gloria Estefan said
just
no.
murder like two entire football teams and
Maria Cotillard
and the mayor.
Live at half-time. Oh yeah, the mayor's blown to pieces. Probably wasn't a bomb. It's probably his makeup just combusted.
Obviously, in the trailer, you've got one of the footballers who gets blown up his name's Ward. I don't know if that's a tenuous link to Burt Ward. I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
Obviously, the character's like obviously has a different first name, but could be a tenuous link to Burt Ward, perhaps.
Okay, yeah.
Gee whiz, I think it is.
Gee whiz, Batman.
So what we have there? So yeah, we get Gotham is
Structure.
yours.
Take
Yeah.
back your city.
Yeah, basically doing like we are liberators. Claim it all back, and then where Blake saves Gordan from the hospital.
Yeah, it goes to sort of and they both sort of disappear into the shadows.
Well,
Well,
I love
Go into hiding,
Yeah,
basically.
to his apartment. Yeah.
Yeah. Mind you, if the sun's shining, they might have some shadows.
And then,
And Bane does reveal Harvey's letter.
yeah, Bane goes to the Blackgate prison and releases the prisoners and does his whole like Donald Trump speech of like, to you,
Grab him in the pussy!
the people.
I won the popular vote!
I love that. I love that he said the like exact same sentence. Like, oh, that's fucking
I know
Bane's
he did.
speech.
I know.
They are pretty much the same, aren't they?
I love Tom Hardy in this. I think he has really good way of like, even though his face is covered up, he still has like charisma. He can still kind of like act his way through just by his eyes, and he kind of has this like kind of weird sort of glare when he's saying his stuff, and kind of shakes his head. It's just kind of I really enjoy it. So yeah, he tears up Harvey Dent's photo, calls out on the fact that it was all that the Dent Act was all a lie, and then everything just goes to shit, really.
Yeah. And there's all show trials going on, and at the same time, Bruce is being told the entire story by Tom Conti.
Not
There
Bill.
was a boy born. Oh, and earlier on, Alfred had heard of this as well. There was a legend of. I was thinking, fuck off. Yeah, okay. So.
It just tells you like that Alfred's actually really doing his research on. And
No, it tells you it's lazily written, Chris. That's what it tells you.
Okay.
It's like, well, we'll trail it. How? Well, I don't know. Have Alfred say something. You know? It's just, look at his training! I don't know who that's an impression of, because it certainly ain't Michael
Look
Caine.
at his training. He's got a ruby the size of a tangerine.
Yeah. Alfred, you burned me. Yeah. So, 5 months go by. The
Well,
bridges-
not quite, because obviously Gotham would blow up by then.
yeah. And then Nolan goes, shit!
Credits.
Too late. Coming soon to Stella. I'll half-ass that too. Yeah. Okay. So, what else do we get in this period apart from Bruce getting angry and also having his back fixed by being twatted really hard?
Well,
That's like
yeah,
the most
by using ropes.
I know.
Yeah. So
Hanging him up. Yeah.
So we have various things happening in Gotham. We have like, you know, obviously there's the sense of like a few cops like around trying to sort of plan.
They're underground to keep grooming.
Yes.
Roger
Yeah.
Moore probably sent his suitcase in with a Red Cross parcel.
Good old Rog.
Right. So, okay. Oh, and also the bat has been on top of that building for months. Just no one ever
Waiting for it.
Yeah. Okay. So Batman's doing sit-ups, getting
crunches,
angry
Angry crunches.
or evil or whatever it is.
He has one attempt, fails miserably after like getting his back fixed. He's like, you know,
Even that's so hackneyed. It's when he finally believes and doesn't use a rope or something.
well, I imagine because again, it's going back to begins, isn't it? It's like you have to like come in touch with your fear again. Like you have to like combat it. So
You have to touch cloth, Mr. Wayne.
Really?
Yeah.
I like it. I like the bit where he has to climb about the rope. I think
And
it's,
then they all cheer. I love the fact that they're stuck down there for the rest of their miserable existence. And when this billionaire gets out, they're all like, yes!
does he not like throw the rope down and let so they can all come out?
I don't know.
I've always spotted at the end when he comes out. When he comes out, he does throw the rope. He grabs like the rope at the top and like throws it down.
I don't know.
So that means they can all get out.
I've not seen Tom Conti since.
He thought, "Fuck it, I'm staying. I like it
So,
here."
and then I think we get to. What my highlight of the film is that opening sort of chase, but I think my second highlight of the film is we do see Selena Kyle with an apple crisp.
Do a bit of fruit there.
Was it a quality apple?
It looked juicy.
Very crunchy.
Becca's got a perspective on it too. Yeah.
It looked very crisp. So there you are.
Yeah,
here we go. Chris, it's fruity corn. So,
85 a day by listening to this podcast.
Gotham has been sort of shut off by all the bridges and everything else.
Yeah.
Isolated from the world.
So they can't get out. The president is on about we'll never, leave, abandon them, which Gordan just says, well, that just basically means we're on our own.
There is an attempt with special forces. They sneak in, but they get killed.
Yes, they do.
So there's like
we do see a bit of all that, and it's a bit chaotic, and we do sort of see, but until the last sequence, Gotham is fairly empty. I mean, everyone is just seemingly inside the whole time. There's show trials with the Scarecrow.
Yeah,
who suspected that? Everyone thought he died at the end of the last film, but I remember going to
did
see
we?
this, and then when he popped up, everyone was like,
Chris, everyone did. Becca just
everyone.
said. Everyone.
Why did we think he died at the end of?
Well, no, it was just one of those things you didn't kind of expect to see, sort of thing. I mean, literally when I think Bristol, I went to go see some Bristol with a friend,
Bristol.
Bristol, down to Bristol. I think it was Bristol. I have to get in touch because it was through a lovely lady on the Twitter, and who is it? Lynn, that was it. I think it was in Bristol, and literally when appeared on the screen, that whole everybody just went, oh! And it's like,
and then they all said, "Here's one. We thought he died at the end of the last film."
Well, no, I think it's just something. I think because obviously we've been so caught up by Bane, we'd obviously forgot about
I actually thought he was arrested. I thought he was effectively left for the police at the start of the last film, and that was that. So he will have either been in Arkham, or more likely, he didn't convince anyone he was insane, so he was in Blackgate Prison.
I just assume, I just assume he just got released, and
he was one of the prisoners. Yeah.
I mean, I was one of those things where people thought if Heath Ledger was around, it could have been Joker as the trial. That would have made maybe a bit of sense as well. But I'm sure he would have had a cameo if that was the case. It would have been some other form. I'm
not convinced it would have been the same film, but it might have been. Who knows? Maybe it would be literally take one character out and stick in Heath Ledger's Joker. I don't know. But they're all most of them are effectively having to walk out onto the ice, and then they're just falling through to their death.
Which is pretty brutal, really. I mean, imagine people must be dying like all the fucking time in this.
But Bruce's hair's grown half an inch in the 5 months, so we can tell he's been through hell. And he comes back.
He shaved his beard off.
Probably using Gillette.
The smallest razor.
The best a man can get.
Yeah.
The free fox.
Just amongst razors.
Yeah.
Other razors are available.
I've had better, but not necessarily razors.
They free fox and they.
They do what?
They free fox because he's in the.
Yes.
That sounded very different to what you said.
Yeah.
For free. No. Yeah. So. Then what?
Yeah, Catwoman helps him, and then he suits up. There's the whole thing. There's talk about, you're not fixed the autopilot, have you? Like, no. And then Gordan gets captured because they try and figure out which of these trucks that are patrolling around the city have
3 lead line trucks.
But they get caught doing it. So Gordan gets on the trial and then has to walk on the ice. And then Batman turns up.
Batman turns up, yeah, having painted the bridge, ready with petrol or whatever he used in the bat signal. And he said, "Light her up." I don't know why he does a Bruce Forsyth? No, Clint Eastwood. Do you reckon anyone has ever confused Clint Eastwood and Bruce Forsyth before?
No, you're the first.
Honestly, I want to say Clint Eastwood.
I'm mistaken Leslie Nielsen for Liam Neeson.
Their names sound similar.
Well, they got similar names.
I mean, if I'd said Clint Howard or something, then maybe Bruce Forsyth.
Good game.
See you guys. Okay,
That's that.
Yeah.
Oh,
did I fire 5 shots or 6? Higher or lower?
Yeah.
Do you feel lucky? Do you?
Hang on, Bruce Forsyth is slowly turning into Michael Caine.
Yeah, they do sound the same.
Yeah, well, it's basically the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
So Batman now played by Bruce Forsyth. Because
I'll tell you what, he's got the chin for it, hasn't he?
Hey?
He's got the chin for it, hasn't he?
Yeah. And then, right? Fucking hell. And then Matthew Modine's character, which is his official name in this film, sees it from the window and he's like, "Well, that's me inspired."
Yes.
Because Batman is a symbol, you see?
Mm-hmm.
Themes and shit.
And
then
Gordan said...
He breaks the well-coiffed police out of the... and always minty fresh police out of the crowd.
He dresses up in his blues because Gordan made a reference to that before, saying, "Well, I'm not exactly asking you to break out into your fancy uniform," and then he does exactly that.
I know. Just it's dress down Friday. Just relax. This is bollocks. This part of the film. I know what they were going for, but you've got the police have come straight out after 3 months underground in pristine uniforms, ready to go straight back to having a rumble. It's nuts.
Batman comes in the bat and just takes out the.
What did he do in the back, Chris?
He takes out the not tumblers.
Yes.
And then they have a big charge and there's a big fight. And then
I know. And some wonderful continuity on Matthew Modine, where he has a handgun, then like a machine gun or something like that, and then he's lying on the floor dead, which wouldn't be a bad sequence of events, except it all takes place in about 7 seconds. He goes through 2 guns and dies in about 7 seconds.
Well, that happens a bit later on when Miranda Tate / not Talia says kill them all when driving off in not one of the not tumblers, and it's just like kind of, all right, there's a shot of him dead after seeing him like fighting. It's just could we not just at least seen him get shot? Would have helped story wise, but anyway. So there's a big fight, and then Batman fights Bane again on the they find each other on the battlefield.
Yeah.
And Bane has
but
the
this
line
time
of
he's
dialogue.
done some sit-ups.
Yeah, but Bane has a line of dialogue that says, "So you've come to die with your city," and then Bruce comes back with a killer line.
Let's hear it, Chris.
"No, I came here to stop you." That's a fucking zinger, that is.
Brilliant.
Awful, bloody hell.
Like, I think anyone could have come up with something.
Stop you.
I think anyone could have come up with anything better. I think people suggested if he just said nothing would have been better. I think my only suggestion would be like,
don't give him kiss off lines, particularly with that voice anyway, because we had the one earlier in the film. So that's what that feels like.
Yeah, I think it would have been better if he said no. I came here to fight with him. Would have been made more sense. But I'm not saying that's a great line, but it's better in the context of...
What would Roger Moore have said in this scenario?
Raised eyebrow.
Oh, I don't know.
I've come to kick your posterior, Bane.
That does sound like Ace Rimmer.
Ace Rimmer is basically like a space version of Roger Moore, though.
He is, pretty much.
Yes.
What a guy.
Not as gritty.
No.
But yeah. So, he has a fight with Bane. He's got Bane out and he's going, "Where are you? Bomb."
He comes up with a great idea of actually knocking off one of the things off his face. It's like, oh, why did I think of that?
But Tom Continuity explained it to it. I think that's what we should call it.
You're the child of Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, because he tells us everything we need to get through the film. Tom Continuity told him earlier.
But not at one point did he actually mention the fact that the child of Ra's al Ghul was actually a girl.
No, she explains all that a bit later, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, it was a girl.
Yeah,
because you always, when you're talking about someone, you always refer to them completely gender neutral in every scenario.
Well, but even like when he was in the pit, Bruce kept saying like, "Oh, right, so Bane's the child of Ra's al Ghul," and he just doesn't correct him. He goes like,
"Yeah,
he just carries on and like, and then the child like."
I know, and like his wife died in there or something, and Bane saved his daughter, and his daughter got out, and she got Bane out, and he couldn't forget. Bane reminded him of his wife or something, and he couldn't get over it. It was like, this is torturous shite. None of that makes any sense to me whatsoever.
But we do see the return of Leslie Nielsen, which was nice.
Which is good, yeah.
Yes.
Particularly as it's now 2 years after the actor died. Yeah, Leslie Nielsen, the younger version of which was the sort of body double for the twins in The Social Network. Because you had Armie Hammer, and then you'd have someone else, and they superimposed Armie Hammer's face onto it.
Yeah, it was that person.
It was that person, yeah. And he does look like a young Liam Neeson. It's actually pretty good.
He does a little bit. That's quite cleverly done, isn't it?
For the amount he's got to do, which isn't very much. But again, it's Bruce being G'd up by a dream and some vague talks about different types of immortality. And it's just, go there or don't go there. The film doesn't really know how to play it, so it's just some kind of dream in the end.
Yeah, I'm fine with the vision. Just kind of like, Bruce's psyche.
I'm fine with the Vision. I think he's a very good Marvel character. What's that got to do with anything?
Nothing. But anyway.
So they're all there. So he's kicked the arse of Bane.
Yeah.
And then Talia stabs him in the side.
Yeah. Where's the trigger?
Where's the trigger? Not like, great dialogue for using that voice, is it? Trigger.
No.
Where's the trigger?
The dialogue seems to peter out towards the end of the film, doesn't it? It's just like the quality slides. Like last hour.
Well, I think all the best dialogue is from Bane, really, and some good lines from Catwoman. That's basically it.
Yeah, I mean, Bane has the best lines in this film, rightly so.
But so Batman's beating on Bane, and Bane says, "I'm not the child of Ra's al Ghul. Oh, I didn't climb the thing," and he said, and that's actual verbatim.
The thing, yeah.
And then so he goes like, "You're not the you're the child of Ra's al Ghul," and then Talia says, "But he's not the child of Ra's al Ghul," and then knife in the chest or whether on the ribs, whether
it's kind of in the side, isn't it?
Yeah, and seems to explain a whole backstory while keeping him at bay with a knife. Isn't quite told now. I mean, you could.
We know there's exposition in films, but they might as well have just said to the audience, "Hang on, folks, let us just explain what's happening, all right?"
Yeah. Meanwhile, towards the end, Bane gets up and starts tying him up, which we could have had that, after that fact. So if he tied up Batman, we could have had Talia with the trigger, sort of telling them what is actually going on, taunting him with the trigger. That would have made a little bit more sense. But anyway,
it's just not very well staged, any of that. Yeah. And at the same time, you've got the guy who, is effectively nabbed as the next Batman, if you like, in this universe. And he spends the whole film sort of stood by a school bus on a bridge, which from a moral perspective and a character perspective isn't a bad choice, but in this sort of epic finale they're trying to tell, I would have preferred him to be a little bit more mobile than that.
Well, the problem is we haven't seen him be that effective at combat. Like if he spent the entire film basically kicking everyone's ass, like sort of like we can go, okay, well we're fine with him sitting this one out and learning the morals of saving someone and the system not working the way it should be, because essentially what Batman, what the film needs is for him to get on the bridge and plead with the authorities to let people go, and they just don't, because they are job's worth kind of thing, and he's just like, well, you just condemned us all by blowing the bridge. You just thanks for that. So he just throws his badge at the end and loses faith in the system. So, yeah,
although they're not police, they're military. But there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Perhaps Nolan read somewhere about Muhammad Ali, that apocryphal tale of him throwing his sort of belt into, his Olympic medal into the water or something. I didn't like it. At all. But I mean, I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the film. I think he's very good. But I don't really like the way they use him in this last section. But she basically exposits so long that they run out of time because Gordan stops the bomb.
Yeah. So they have to, because no matter, the trigger's going to go anyway. The time's going to go anyway. We better sort of go and make sure that happens. So they have like a little weird well, I do kind of like it because there's a certain sense of like tenderness between Bane and Talia, even though it's a little bit. I'm not, because it's literally just a relationship that we've just been revealed to now. We don't know. Okay, what's going on there?
Yeah,
Is
how
there, like,
poignant that thing we learnt about 90 seconds ago.
It's done really well between them. There's like
It is.
but it's like, okay, I don't know whether there's a sense of like they just like it's like a mutual love between them, or there's like a romance from Bane's point of view, and she's just like, yeah, whatever, see you later. But they say goodbye, and Bane looks longingly and then says, "No, I'm gonna kill Bruce now, because I've been wanting to do it for ages." And then Catwoman comes in and shoots him. And
then she says something about, not changing overnight or something.
No, she says, I'm not sure about this no guns thing.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Then what? Batman goes and grabs the bomb. After effectively killing Talia.
Yes. Obviously, he gives up his no-kill thing.
To be honest, I've always been okay with it in the context of this sequence.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of generally support the sort of no-kill policy as a character thing, but look at the situation they're in. She has to be stopped immediately. And
plus, it's not like he point-blank shoots her. He
doesn't.
His goal is to derail the truck.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
okay with it. I like Marion Cotillard as an actress quite a bit, but I thought her death scene was awful.
Basically, breathing heavily.
The way that she it looks quite comedic. It took me right out of the film at the time because I actually laughed out loud at that bit. I was like, oh, fucking hell. When I saw it, it's really not very good. And then we find out, because I always assumed the commissioner knew that it was Bruce under it all. And then we find out he was utterly clueless and didn't actually care.
Well, there is that thing from Blake from George Gordon-Levitt, that fact that Christian doesn't know who you are, doesn't care. He's not interested. He kind of buys in the idea that Batman could be anyone and doesn't really need to know. But yeah, to me, this is probably one of the favourite moments of the film. Even it's just a little moment, just like kind of like that. It's a Wonderful Life
I like
kind of thing.
They called it back, and I know the flashback isn't wildly subtle, but I like it. I do, for all the problems of. I don't actually buy Gordan would be that so like really. I quite like it. Bruce Wayne. He's who?
Well, to be fair, this is. If you think about Gordan's interactions with Bruce Wayne, like as an adult, he would just think, who's this fucking pillock?
Maybe.
But
maybe.
I kind of like, I kind of like the idea of, of this kind of like It's a Wonderful Life kind of element of like just the littlest things can have like a huge impact. Yeah. So like if he hadn't have been there and just did that little sort of tiny act of decency with wrapping it,
he might have disconnected from people entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could have so that kind of like realization that, oh my god, like.
And he talks to the Joker at the end of the last film about sort of people have shown you that they believe in good. So yeah, I'm kind of all right with it. But then we've got him flying the bomb out of the city as quickly as he can with his not working autopilot.
It's kind of cheating, really, that you cut to Christian Bale
in the seat with 5 seconds to go.
Yeah, it's kind of cheating for me. I think I'm not quite sure.
Well, whatever. It is what it is. He flies it away. It explodes. They all die of cancer a few years later. Gordan reads at the funeral some stuff about stuff from that book actually.
Yeah.
And
Sale Two Cities.
They have a dedication of a sort of statue of Batman. Alfred has a good cry about.
What failed you?
Cry. Look at his speed. This is training.
You trusted me, and I failed you.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad though. It's kind of sad scene.
Yeah, he really goes for it actually. Here, he doesn't really hold back on this performance. And then we find, so Bruce Wayne is declared dead, and they read his will, which hasn't been updated.
It's weird how Bruce Wayne is dead. At the same time, Batman sacrifices himself.
Yeah. You never see them together. Yeah,
you do. Batman's on the outside, and inside the outfit is Bruce Wayne.
I will say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No. I won't mention it till later on. Anyway, go on. So.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. So we start the whole business of closing the film down now.
Yeah.
They are reading out his will. He is reduced circumstances, but clearly has still kept Wayne Manor. It will be given as a children's home, effectively, and that's all it will be used for. The pearls have gone missing.
It's like, yeah, that starts to raise some questions. Then Fox asks, what
could I have done
to fix that damn autopilot? It's like, but it has been fixed. Bruce Wayne fixed it ages ago.
Yeah, because he signed in with his name. Fucking hell. It's quite the audit trail in this piece of kit. All right, fair enough. So it's been fixed, and we're all like, right? Yeah. And then John Blake, whose middle name is Robin.
Then there's his actual first name, his actual real name.
Well, it might be Robin. I don't know if it's John Robin Blake or Robin John Blake. I can't remember now. And who gives a shit? Let's be honest.
And everyone goes like, oh, and then actual fans of the comic were like just pissed off, like that's just bullshit. That's fucking. That's not Robin.
Yeah. No.
Could have at least said Dick Grayson or something, and that would have kept.
He gives him coordinates to the Batcave.
Yeah.
Which is so he's just going to have to sneak in under that waterfall every time, unless he's going to pretend to be a child. Because it's a children's home above ground now. And he's going to go in. We've got no evidence he can fight. Well, we saw a little bit of him fighting, but not very much. I think it's pretty much a death sentence, let's be sure. Bruce has managed as well to arrange a new bat signal.
I will say this, though, and given the idea that Batman's supposed to be a symbol, right? Okay. So given that symbol has just kind of revalued his name or his image in terms of the public, in terms of like he was demonized as like as his murderer, and now he's kind of like he's now
back.
Even
though he's gone.
He came back and sacrificed himself, kind of like reevaluating his name. So, given that he's now sacrificed himself, doesn't that somewhat devalue the fact that if a new Batman just turns up, given the fact that the idea
You
that
don't
Batman...
know. No one knows it's someone different.
Yes. So wouldn't that just be like, hang on,
Egotistical
Batman's a cheat.
bastard. We put a statue up for him, and then suddenly he's back.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, that doesn't make sense.
I know.
But
I don't want copycats except this one. Okay.
Yeah, so he's got no one to actually train him. Like, so it's like if they're like Batman.
Oh, he's seen the films. He'll be all right.
Yeah, there'll be some like Bruce left some like training videos to get in shape from the Leauge of Shadows fitness program.
Jane Fonda's workout. I'm ready now. So yeah, he's on a death sentence. Basically, you've got. Also, they seem to have forgotten that Commissioner Gordan perverted the court of justice. He's still Commissioner of Police after framing the wrong guy and lying about it for 8 years.
I think people have forgiven him about that. I think given that like half the population of Gotham's probably dead by now. I think.
All right, fair enough. So he's still Commissioner. He still prefers to work on the roof. And
giving him the bat signal, which is nice.
New bat signal, which he probably ordered one from Amazon. They're bigger than they look. Those little bat signal.
They're popular. They're like bestseller around there. Every home's got one.
Just get the little one you can get for like your bedside table. Just put it on there. There you go. It's a bat signal, isn't it? And then Alfred goes on holiday.
Yeah, and
what will he order? Latte?
A flaming burger, or whatever it's. What's that drink he orders? It's kind of like just like a little.
I've no idea.
It's kind of like a little sort of spirit type. Anyway.
All right. Well, he goes and orders a drink,
and then
he gets the same table.
Yeah. With
the same view, which Bruce inferred from listening to him tell the story briefly.
Can you imagine Selena Kyle's just sat there going, "Why do I have to be here this time?" Like,
yeah. Well, she is looking around a bit like, what am I looking for? But the other thing is, like, you can imagine him having his drink, walking out, and like they were behind him.
And why do you want to wear the pearls now? Like today? Like why? Just it seems a bit like it's not like a formal occasion. It just seems like we're a bit too casual for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it does look like a credit card ad to me when Micheal Cain gets out his go.
But he's earned this after a full 10 months as being Batman.
And I can't help but think, hang on, isn't it a bit after Alfred must have gone through so much grief after like thinking that he's been dead all this time, and then he just turns up and goes like, oh, he's not dead, twat.
You selfish twat! I warned you about his training, his belief, and I burnt the letter. Because that's dialogue in every scene.
But he's made it.
Yeah.
No lie to you, but he made it, and then there you are, and then
Gordon Levitt gets swamped by something.
Yeah, he sort of rises up, literally.
He rises because the Dark Knight rises, even though he's not really the Dark Knight, and he'll get his ass handed to him first time he goes out.
Yeah. And
he hasn't even been measured up for the batsuit. Probably find it's like too short in the legs or something.
Nah, I'm sure he'll fit into it. He's got that rather training regime he's got to follow. So yeah, Becca, final thoughts?
Yeah. No, again, it's I think up until the scene at the football ground, whenever.
Fucking hell, okay, that was ages ago.
For me. No, I'm just saying that this is my final thoughts. I think from that point, I'm kind of enjoying it, but from then it descends quite rapidly. But no, I think performance is overall fantastic. I mean, Tom Hardy shines, Anne Hathaway shines. The rest of them just kind of like hovering on autopilot there. But fantastic performances throughout. I mean, it still looks stylish, but again, as we mentioned earlier in the show, massive plot holes, things that just don't make sense. That are set up and don't really come to fruition throughout the rest of the film. But I do think this is, I don't know, it's the end to this Batman trilogy that Nolan perhaps wanted, but maybe not what the fans wanted, perhaps. I mean, it's...
Yeah, I don't think fans were actually wanting this take, but this is very much like what Nolan envisioned how he wanted to end the series, or he had like an idea of doing things a bit differently. Which
remember, this kind of ending kind of set up Joseph Gordon-Levitt to be...
It set up Michael Jordan to be Batman. I can't see how it did, but it did.
Or even set up Jordan, but never mind. Katie Price as Batman.
Well, world's greatest detective, yeah.
Oh dear. Basically set him up to be like the next, superhero, but that obviously didn't go anywhere. But yeah, it's just one of those things that's it's pretty much the film that obviously he set out to make, but perhaps not ones that fans or audiences were really after. But I mean, it's pretty much helped to put Tom Hardy on the map, pretty much, as if he wasn't already by this time. It was just amazing. And basically, Tom Hardy makes this movie, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, he's my favourite part of the film as well.
Because of his training and his belief.
I mean, you can tell
You
can tell Dave loves this film. I mean, look, despite its flaws and despite my issues with it, and I'm sure everyone else has tons of issues with it, I still always enjoy it. It still has stuff that I actually like. I mean, I like the ending. In spite of itself, I think it is an odd film.
It's feel good once I get over the fact that's the ending. If you know what I mean. It's not the ending I wanted, but I do find it quite a warm and fuzzy ending. I quite like it. About the 2 hours and 45 minutes before it. That's all.
But I think when you have to take your idea of take away the context that this is like a Batman film, and you sort of what you expect and what the general opinion of what people want from a Batman film. It sounds like stupid now. I've just said it out loud. But once you just sort of well, this is just a movie, or this is just a vision of an adaptation of a certain character, it's okay. It's just you just wish certain details were ironed out a little bit more. You just wish they had they thought about things a little bit more in detail, or they just sort of said it or showed you in a different way that would have sort of added some clarity, rather than just let you sort of be a bit more ambiguous. Which sometimes that can be a good thing. Sometimes it can just come across as kind of lazy, or you haven't really thought it through, really, have you? And then so it's flawed. It's flawed, but I still like it.
We do this show with not a specific running time in mind, but we are a longer podcast, and it is partially by design. It isn't just we run that long and we accept it. I do think that
there's editing involved.
We don't set out to do 60, 70-minute podcasts. I know there are people out there who don't like them this long, but I do. When I listen to a podcast, I want a couple of hours. But there's no doubt in my mind that, generally speaking, I wouldn't want to be doing 2 hours and 50 minutes every week. I think that's on the long side. So, but we're giving it for this film these films, because the Nolan trilogy, all of them, give you plenty to talk about, good and bad. And so I can say that for this film. There's plenty of to talk about. There's plenty of ideas in there. There's some excellent performances. It looks very good, even though I think it's kind of last week's scores. Again, I like the score. There's a lot to like about it, but it's fairly hackneyed writing. I still think the director didn't really want to be there, and I think it had just missed its moment in history. I think The Dark Knight just grabbed the world's attention, and I think by now we'd all moved on to the Avengers, and this was just marking time until a reboot. It's not entirely a terrible film, but I have to say, I'm always enthusiastic when I switch it on. I really am. I always think I'm going to enjoy it, and I never really do. It's too long, it's too bloated, and it raises far more questions than it answers. So it's nowhere near the worst Batman film we've seen. but it is a drop down from the first two entries in the Nolan series. And that's all I can really say about it.
There must be something in it that you kind of look forward to, though, so that gives you that hope that you might like it more than
and I don't know what that is, because it isn't always just off the back of, say, The Dark Knight. Oh, great, the next one. It isn't. I don't really know what it is. I think it's...
It does have a certain weight of quality to it, just in spite of itself.
It does. I mean, there's some continuity problems, and now most films have continuity problems, and I don't normally have an issue with it, but with Nolan being compared to Kubrick and being quite meticulous, I had more problems with this film than either of the others, and I do think that some of it, I just feel like his mind was elsewhere. I'm sure if you had visited him on the set or talked to him about this film, he was fully engaged. I'm sure it's almost on a subconscious level, but I see things slipping through into this that I don't think he would have done it at what now might end up having been his peak, actually. We won't get into that. Maybe we'll talk about other Christopher Nolan films down the line, but I really, there's not much more I can say about this. It's a lot less than the sum of its parts, but it's still got some really good parts to it. Yeah.
And New York looks great in it.
And not New York, with not the World Trade Center building.
The thing is, I've always thought that I've always praised Batman Begins for having a Gotham that actually looks like Gotham. But The Dark Knight just kind of looks like Chicago, and here it's just basically New York. It's... New
York and Pittsburgh, isn't it? When it's at street level, it tends to be Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But, the Pittsburgh bits don't bother me, partly probably because it's not as iconic. I don't know what I'm looking at as much. And also the argument, they went there for tax reasons. That's why they will have gone there. There will have been tax breaks for the production. Baby Driver was filmed in Atlanta. That's not a hotbed of filmmaking historically. But again, certain states, certain cities, you can get tax breaks to go there. So I can understand that they went to Pittsburgh probably for monetary reasons. But I think you can make an argument that in a city of 12 million people, there'll be different bits of it and bits that look different. So, okay, at street level, I don't have a problem. It's these wide establishing shots where I think, can't you even hide that's New York? You've got enough tools at your disposal. So it's got a feeling of a slight laziness about it, and to take so long over such laziness is quite incredible.
Yeah, I always thought it was kind of intentional for some reason. I don't know what that intention is meant to be, but I think in terms of what Nolan did with moving on to Chicago, I don't know.
Be a smarter man than me. He's certainly.
I'm not saying it's a good reason, but
I still think he's a very special filmmaker. I just don't happen to have loved any of these last three films, and it started with this because I really liked Inception. That's a divisive film, but I loved it, and I loved The Dark Knight. And between the first two Batman films, he did The Prestige. So the guy's track record through that decade was exceptional. His track record through this decade, well, I'm not as impressed. Some people might well be. But this was kind of the start of a decline for me. That this was bloated and messy, and I thought Interstellar was as well. And then I go to see Dunkirk, and it doesn't engage me in the slightest. And maybe that's me, and I will give it a second chance, and I mean a fair second chance, because I don't think you can proclaim after one viewing like that of a Nolan film. But yeah, nothing's grabbed me, and this was the start of all that,
Yeah, I suppose every director has its
ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
You hope it's ebbs and flows, because if that was his peak, then maybe we have seen the best of Christopher Nolan. But
I suppose look at Tarantino. Tarantino when he first started out, and his first three films were great, and now he's starting to get a little bit kind of bloated with his own ego and his own ideas, and he's like, okay, well, it's not as good anymore, but people still love the new work he does. They hold it in high regard, maybe even better than Pulp Fiction or such. So who knows? Maybe it's different opinions. I'm sure there'll be people who say Dunkirk's probably his best film.
Yeah, they're wrong, but everyone's got the right to be wrong. I'm kidding. It's only opinions, and again, I've seen it once, so let's see. But yeah, I was surprisingly underwhelmed the first time because I was really looking forward to it. But
We won't say any more because Becca's not seen it.
Having said that, I might appreciate this film if I knew more about it.
Bad facts.
Yes, to round out the end of the Batman series, I have some final Bat facts.
Bat facts.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to sing that up, Parker.
You're welcome.
So there is a minor detail, Batflex number 1, a minor detail in some of the walkie-talkies used by the police. They actually have an old DC Comics logo on them. And this film's titles shows a new version of that DC logo, which I think is quite cool. Batflex number 2, as we mentioned earlier, Scarecrow pops up 3/4 of the way through this film, much to the of my audience at the time.
Then he thinks about baseball and it goes down again.
That's it. What's the Austin Powers? Look at that today, get on a cold day.
Honest, it's not mine.
Not mine, no. So that means that Scarecrow is the only villain to appear in all 3 Nolan Batman movies. Bat fact number 3. This contains references to the DC graphic novel Kingdom Come, which I think involves Catwoman, Selena Kyle. Bat fact number 4. Anne Hathaway's stunt double actually broke an IMAX camera, I think by crashing the butt bike into it. And that's the second time an IMAX camera has been broken on these Nolan Batman movies. And Bat fact
Fucking
number 5.
hell, Nolan.
I know, it keeps breaking.
Oh,
Jesus.
Nolan.
Ooh, Nolan. That's clever, I like that a lot. Bat fact number 5. This film currently ranks number 64 on the IMDb's top 250 movies.
Shame on you.
Dark Knight is at number 8, and Batman Begins is number 115.
I know, but the 250 greatest films of all time. Fucking hell. Right, go on.
Well, that's the whole point. It moves up and down, isn't it? And new films will come and go. And
I know they will, but that's way too high. But anyway, go on.
that's my 5 butt facts that I have.
All right, well, don't go on then.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
In fact, stop.
Thank you.
Apparently on Saturday Night Live, Anne Hathaway appeared doing an impression of Katie Holmes talking about a role in Batman Begins.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I've
Yeah, that caused a lot of controversy, didn't it?
Did it?
Well, I've never heard of it, so no, probably not.
No, I seem to remember that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Why did it cause controversy?
I don't know.
Just 'cause it was
probably-
controversial.
Why is it controversial though?
Yeah, that normally does it, doesn't it, Becca? That's right.
But
Controversial things have a tendency to cause controversy. I wish I could see the
What
link.
was the controversial thing that was said? In
I don't know. I can imagine the word Stockholm Syndrome in there somewhere.
possibly, but probably related to Tom Cruise and Scientology, I imagine.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. But Anne Hathaway's actually surprisingly good at doing impressions. Like, she did one of Claire Danes in Homeland, which is fucking uncanny.
Yeah, she's really good, isn't she?
So yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to see what that sketch was. She probably did a really good job. Yeah, I can't think of any more interesting things to really say.
That's it then for the Batman series. So, forgetting next week for a minute, we move on to a superhero music episode with Charlie Brigden. He sent us like an outline the other day, because we have been sort of having a bit of back and forth as to what would be in this show, and Charlie has now sketched out the show. So we've got to do a bit of listening and so on, but we know what it's going to be. We know, although we've got to listen to some stuff, we know what's in that show, and it will be huge. It will be quite a long show, I think.
This will be a monster, I think.
And then he stays with us.
Will it be as size of a tangerine?
Oh, I just admire him because of his belief in his training.
Look at that belief.
Look at his training.
I see the Leauge of Shadows.
And because of that, he has to fulfill his destiny by staying with us.
Fulfill
for
Razagul's destiny.
our next series, which has been much, much requested by a lot of you. We go on to do Star Wars.
Cannot wait.
Oh, what we starting with? We starting with Phantom Menace, or...
I'm open to be disagreed with, but I would have thought release order.
Okay. I'm not sure. I wasn't sure which order we're going in.
Yeah, me neither, actually, considering we haven't actually... I know we're going to do Star Wars, but we haven't discussed yet which order we're going to do it in, whether it's going to be in release order, or if we're going to do it literally, unfortunately, starting from Phantom and working our way through.
We'll discuss that offline, but I do think
we can chat around.
to do release order. But I mean, I'm not going to.
Listeners, what would you like us to do? If you want us to do release order, let us know. If you want us to go start from
tell us what you
1.
think, and we'll ignore you and do what we wanted anyway. But at least you'll feel part of the process, and we'll claim hundreds. We'll claim hundreds others said whatever it was we wanted to do.
Tens.
But it's the end of a series, which means
we'll claim whatever one more person said. The thing.
Yeah. It's just like Alan Potter. I've got 104 friends.
102.
I've got 100 because I've got 104 friends. Okay, so it's your turn, Becca, for our choice of Bond commentary. So, what does that mean?
Yes, I get to pick the Bond movie for our commentary, so that means, do you expect us to talk or return with a commentary on You Only Live Twice?